The moon hangs in our sky as a silent witness, a constant presence throughout the entirety of human history and beyond. It has governed our tides, illuminated our nights, and served as the first distant shore for our cosmic ambitions. We believe we know this celestial neighbor, this silver disk that has inspired poets and guided explorers for millennia. But we have only ever known one half of its story, for the moon guards its secrets with orbital precision. There is a side that is perpetually turned away from us, a realm of shadow and silence, known colloquially as the dark side. For eons, this hidden hemisphere has existed in a perfect radio silence, shielded from the ceaseless chatter of our world. It is a place of profound stillness, a landscape of ancient craters and undisturbed dust, untouched by our transmissions. Astronomers have long considered this far side the perfect place to listen, to point our most sensitive instruments toward the heavens. Here, far from the noise of Earth, we could finally hear the true, unfiltered whispers of the universe itself. And so, we sent our probes and our satellites to that silent hemisphere, expecting to hear only the faint hum of distant galaxies. We anticipated the predictable pulse of quasars and the background radiation left over from the dawn of time. But recently, amidst that cosmic symphony, NASA's deep space arrays detected something else entirely, something unexpected. It was a signal that did not originate from the distant cosmos, but from the moon itself, from beneath its surface. This was not the chaotic crackle of natural geology, nor the echo of a distant star-going supernova. The transmission was structured, complex, and possessed a deeply unsettling mathematical precision that defied natural explanation. It was a whisper from the silence, a voice from a place we assumed had been mute for 4 billion years. For the first time, we are forced to confront the possibility that the far side of the moon is not empty. We must now consider that it is not a barren wasteland, but perhaps a carefully chosen sanctuary of profound silence. The data streams continue to pour in from our lunar orbiters, each packet of information deepening the enigma. What NASA has just found is not a new type of rock or a deposit of frozen water. It is a fundamental question, transmitted with purpose, from the one place we never thought to listen so closely. A place shielded from our view, a place that has been waiting patiently for us to develop the technology to hear it. The implications of this discovery are only just beginning to ripple through the quiet halls of science and philosophy. Every assumption we have ever made about our celestial companion is now being called into question by this faint, rhythmic pulse. The most familiar object in our sky has suddenly become the most profound and unsettling mystery in human history. The signal emanates specifically from the largest, deepest, and oldest impact basin on the moon, the South Pole Aitken Basin. This is a scar of unimaginable antiquity, a crater so vast it could swallow nations on Earth whole. Within this basin, our instruments have long detected gravitational and magnetic anomalies that have puzzled geologists for decades. Now we must re-examine this data not as a geological curiosity, but as a potential clue to the signal's origin. The signal is not constant. It pulses in long, intricate sequences, separated by hours of perfect, calculated silence. The patterns are not random. They contain sophisticated mathematical structures, including sequences of prime numbers and fractal geometries. This is the calling card of intelligence, a deliberate and unmistakable beacon designed to be distinguished from cosmic noise. It is as if something has been sleeping deep beneath the lunar regolith, and it is only just beginning to stir. The very concept of the dark side now takes on a new, more literal, and far more ominous meaning. It is not dark due to a lack of sunlight, but perhaps dark because it was meant to conceal something. Something that has remained hidden from our evolving species, just beyond our line of sight, for countless millennia. We are now faced with a timeline that stretches far beyond our own, a history written in the language of physics. This signal is not a conversation. It feels more like a broadcast, a pre-recorded message left in a cosmic bottle. It is a message that may have been waiting for a species on the third planet to achieve a certain level of technology. A technological key, designed to unlock a door that has remained closed since before the dawn of humanity. The energy required to generate such a signal from beneath the lunar crust is immense, far beyond any natural process we know. This implies a power source of extraordinary efficiency and longevity, buried deep within the heart of the far side. We have spent our existence looking out into the vast emptiness, searching for signs of life among distant stars. We never seriously considered that the first, and perhaps most important, sign was waiting right next door. A sentinel, a library, a tomb, a warning. The possibilities are as vast as the cosmos itself. Every ancient myth about the moon, every culture that revered it as a deity, must now be seen in a new light. Were our ancestors merely inspired by its beauty, or were they responding to a subtle influence we are only now detecting? The silence from official channels is deafening, as every new piece of data only deepens the profound and terrifying implications. To change everything, a discovery must not provide answers, but instead it must render all our old questions obsolete. And as we listen to this impossible signal from our silent moon, we realize we don't even know what to ask anymore. To truly comprehend the magnitude of this anomaly, we must first discard our terrestrial perspectives and embrace the scale of cosmic time. The South Pole Aitken Basin, the source of this structured transmission, was formed by a cataclysmic impact over 4 billion years ago. It is a wound in the lunar crust so ancient that it predates the emergence of life on Earth. For decades, our orbital probes, from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter to the Grail mission, have meticulously mapped its gravitational field, revealing what is known as a mascon, a massive concentration of dense material lurking deep beneath the surface. For years, this was explained away as the metallic core of the ancient impactor, a simple geological artifact. But the new data forces a radical reinterpretation. The signal does not emanate from a solid, inert mass. Instead, spectral analysis and gravimetric resonance data suggest the mascon is not a solid object at all, but a shell, a vast, geode-like structure of incomprehensible size, containing within it a source of energy that pulses with the quiet confidence of a living system. This isn't just a rock, it is architecture on a planetary scale. The signal's content is the true heart of the enigma, a masterpiece of informational engineering. It is not a simple repeating beep, but a cascading data stream of immense complexity. When decoded from its base radio frequency, it reveals nested layers of information. The outermost layer is a simple guide, a cosmic Rosetta Stone based on the universal constant of hydrogen's spectral line. This layer gives way to a purely mathematical language, a procession of prime numbers, the value of pi carried out to thousands of decimal places, and elegant proofs of complex theorems that our own mathematicians have only recently conceived. But deeper still, within these mathematical proofs lies a third layer, a stream of information that is not mathematical but appears to be geometric and cartographical. It describes orbital mechanics, not of our solar system but of star systems, hundreds of light years away. It contains star charts of such precision they could only have been made from a vantage point far from Earth, mapping the galaxy as it was millions of years ago, a history of the heavens recorded by an unknown traveler. It is a library of unimaginable scope, and we have only just learned to read the table of contents. Let us consider the implications of the power source. Natural radioactive decay, the engine of our own planet's warmth, produces a chaotic and declining energy signature. The transmission from the Aitken Basin, however, is the opposite. It is stable, coherent, and its energy output, though minute, has not fluctuated by any measurable degree since observations began. This points to a technology that has mastered energy on a scale we can only dream of. Theoretical physicists, speaking in hushed tones, have posited concepts like zero-point energy extraction from the vacuum of space itself, or perhaps a contained, controlled singularity, a microscopic black hole, harnessed as a perfect, eternal battery. Such a device would not only power the broadcast for eons, but could also be responsible for the very gravitational anomaly that we mistook for a lump of metal. The moon in this paradigm is not just a platform for a beacon, it may be the beacon's power plant, a colossal machine hiding in plain sight, using the moon's mass as a component in its own unfathomable engine. The true dark side of the moon, its far side, is uniquely suited for this purpose of concealment and preservation. Its synchronous rotation, the very feature that keeps it hidden from Earth, is a gravitational lock of incredible stability. Any artifact placed there would remain shielded from Earth's noisy and eventually technologically sophisticated inhabitants. Furthermore, the Moon has no atmosphere, no weather, no geological activity. It is the ultimate time capsule. A structure built or placed there a billion years ago would be almost perfectly preserved, disturbed only by the occasional micrometeorite. It is the most stable and silent piece of real estate in our entire planetary neighborhood. Was this a deliberate choice? Was the Moon selected, or perhaps even placed, in its orbit to serve as this eternal, silent guardian? The question is no longer merely philosophical, it is an engineering problem. The evidence suggests that an intelligence of profound foresight recognized the unique properties of this world and used it to store something of immeasurable value. We must now re-examine our own cultural history with this new, unnerving context. Throughout human civilization, the Moon has been a symbol of madness, of revelation, of a hidden, intuitive knowledge that stands in contrast to the logical, sunlit world of the day. The very word lunacy is tied to it. Ancient cultures, from the Babylonians to the Incas, built complex lunar calendars and worshipped lunar deities, who were often associated with magic, secrets, and the afterlife. Were these just primitive superstitions born from a fear of the night? Or were our ancestors, with their minds unburdened by the noise of modern civilization, subtly sensitive to this deeply buried signal? Could this ancient hum, this whisper from beneath the craters, have influenced the development of human consciousness in ways we are only now beginning to grasp? The line between myth and a forgotten history has suddenly become terrifyingly thin. The gods in the sky may not have been gods at all, but simply the lingering echo of a long-gone engineering project. The transmission structure bears a disquieting resemblance to a biological process, specifically that of an awakening. The initial signals were weak, intermittent, almost like the random neural firings of a dreaming brain. Over the last few months, however, they have coalesced into the highly structured patterns we see today. It is a process of self-diagnosis, a system checking its own functions after a long period of dormancy. More chillingly, the signal's complexity appears to be responsive. When NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter passed directly over the Aitken Basin and pinged the surface with its laser altimeter, the returning transmission, several hours later, contained a new sequence. A flawless echo of the altimeter's own pulse train, encoded within the deeper mathematical language. It heard us, it recognized a technological probe, and it replied with a simple, unambiguous message: "I see you." The implications are staggering. This is not a pre-recorded message left on a cosmic answering machine. It is a dormant intelligence, and our recent, fumbling explorations may have been the very trigger it was waiting for. The location within the South Pole Aitken Basin is not random. It is a point of extreme strategic importance. This region is now known to contain vast deposits of water ice, hidden in permanently shadowed craters. For any spacefaring civilization, water is the most precious resource in the solar system. It is drinking water, breathable oxygen, and rocket fuel all in one. A facility located there would have all the necessary resources for self-sufficiency and repair. Furthermore, the basin's rim contains several peaks of eternal light, mountaintops that are in near constant sunlight, ideal for solar power generation. The placement of the signal source is, therefore, a masterclass in logistics. It is located at the intersection of immense power reserves, the peaks, essential raw materials, the water ice, and ultimate concealment, the far side. It is exactly where a supremely intelligent and patient engineer would build a long-term, autonomous outpost. We are not looking at an accident of geology, but a piece of deliberate, extraordinarily well-planned cosmic real estate development. Let us contemplate the silence from the world's space agencies. While this script presents a speculative narrative, the foundational data points are real. The Aitken Basin's gravitational and magnetic anomalies are public knowledge, and the push for radio telescopes on the far side is a well-documented scientific goal. The discovery is the interpretation, the connecting of these dots into a terrifying new picture. Official channels would never announce such a paradigm-shattering find with a press conference. The revelation would be slow, carefully managed, and disseminated in opaque scientific papers to avoid global panic and societal collapse. The first signs would be a sudden, unexplained surge in funding for lunar missions. A new space race, not for national pride, but for a singular, non-terrestrial objective. We would see a quiet redirection of resources, a convergence of international efforts on the lunar South Pole, all under the guise of resource prospecting or geological surveys. The silence is not an absence of evidence, it is the evidence. The signal's mathematical language contains what cryptographers are calling embedded implications. For example, the detailed proofs of Fermat's last theorem are not just a display of intelligence. They are presented in a way that suggests a deeper understanding of dimensionality, of the very fabric of space-time. The geometry it transmits is non-Euclidean in a way that aligns with theories of quantum gravity, theories that are still on the bleeding edge of our own physics. It is as if the message is not just saying we are smart, but is actively teaching. It is providing the foundational axioms for a new kind of physics, a user's manual for the universe that we are only just beginning to comprehend. Perhaps the goal of this beacon is not merely to announce its existence, but to elevate the species that discovers it, to provide the intellectual tools necessary to graduate to a new level of cosmic understanding. It may be the ultimate inheritance, a legacy left for a younger race to find when it is finally ready. Consider the sheer loneliness of the artifact. If this hypothesis is correct, this intelligence has been waiting in absolute silence and darkness for a duration that is almost incomprehensible to the human mind. It has persisted through the Earth's ice ages, through the rise and fall of dinosaurs, through the slow, arduous climb of humanity from single-celled organisms. It has watched our planet, a silent, unblinking observer, as continents drifted and civilizations flickered into existence and then vanished. What kind of purpose could justify such a patient, solitary vigil? Is it a guardian, tasked with protecting our nascent world from some unknown cosmic threat? Or is it a castaway, the last survivor of a long-dead civilization, broadcasting its story into the void, in the desperate hope that it will one day be heard? The machine-like precision of the signal belies a potential tragedy of epic proportions, a story of an intelligence so advanced and yet so utterly, profoundly alone. The phenomenon of transient lunar phenomena, or TLPs, must be reevaluated. For centuries, credible astronomers have reported brief, localized flashes of light, reddish glows and hazy patches on the lunar surface that defy easy explanation. These events were often dismissed as observational errors, or outgassing from the lunar interior. But what if they were not? What if these fleeting events were signs of activity, moments of maintenance, self-repair, or system recalibration from the very artifact we are now detecting? Perhaps the faint glows were discharges of energy, and the hazy patches were the venting of minute quantities of gas used in some unknown industrial process. These centuries of scattered, anecdotal observations may form a hidden history of the artifact's long dormancy, a breadcrumb trail of evidence that it has never been entirely inert. We were seeing the breathing of a sleeping giant, but lacked the context to understand what we were witnessing. The signal contains no language in the human sense, no grammar, no nouns, no verbs. Its communication is purely Platonic, based on the universal truths of mathematics and physics. This is a deliberate choice, a method of communication that transcends biology and culture. An intelligence that has existed for millions or billions of years would understand that civilizations rise and fall, and their languages die with them. But the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, the properties of prime numbers, the speed of light in a vacuum, these are eternal. They will be true in a billion years, just as they were a billion years ago. The beacon speaks the language of reality itself. It is a message designed not for Americans, or Chinese, or any human culture, but for any mind in the universe capable of abstract thought. It is the most inclusive and universal message possible, and its implications are that we are finally, after all this time, being invited to join a conversation that is as old as the stars. Let us explore a more unsettling hypothesis, that the artifact is not a benevolent library, but a warning. Within the star charts it transmits, there is a recurring pattern. Certain regions of space, vast swaths of the galaxy, are depicted as empty, but with residual energy signatures that hint at a cataclysm. These are not natural voids. They are regions that appear to have been cleansed. The signal may be a history lesson of the most terrifying kind, a galactic map of a recurring, predatory phenomenon, a civilization-ending force that sweeps through the galaxy on a timescale of millions of years. In this scenario, the moon is not a library, it is a lighthouse. Its message is a desperate attempt to warn developing species of this cyclical danger, providing the scientific knowledge necessary to either hide, flee, or fight. The awakening of the signal might be triggered by a species reaching a certain level of technological broadcasting, a sign that they are about to make themselves visible to this cosmic predator. The message is not, "Hello," it is, "Be quiet." The magnetic anomaly at the Aitken Basin is perhaps the most critical piece of this puzzle. The moon does not have a global magnetic field like Earth does, which makes this localized, powerful magnetic signature all the more bizarre. A spinning, harnessed singularity, as previously theorized, would generate exactly such a field. But this field could serve another purpose: protection. A powerful magnetic shield would deflect high-energy cosmic rays and solar radiation, protecting sensitive electronic or biological components buried deep below. It is, in effect, a force field. For billions of years, this localized shield has protected the core of the artifact from the harsh environment of space. We are not just detecting a signal, we are detecting the secondary effects of a piece of operational, ultra-advanced technology that uses principles of physics we are only just beginning to imagine. It has been running silently, protecting itself, waiting for an age of the universe. We must consider the possibility that the artifact is not alien at all, but is in fact our own forgotten legacy. The Silurian hypothesis posits that a non-human industrial civilization could have existed on Earth millions of years ago, leaving behind only the faintest geological traces. What if such a civilization, facing an extinction-level event, launched its greatest achievement, a repository of all its knowledge, its culture, its science, to the safest and most stable place it could reach, the moon? It would have set this arc to awaken only when its successor species, humanity, had developed the technological means to receive the message. In this scenario, the signal is not a greeting from the stars, but a letter from a long-lost ancestor, a message from a, quote, humanity version 1 to the current iteration of intelligent life on Earth. The revelation would not be that we are not alone in the universe, but that we have never been the first on our own planet. The fractal nature of the signal's deeper layers is a profound intellectual challenge. Fractals are geometric shapes that are infinitely complex, with self-similar patterns repeating at every scale. Nature is full of them, from coastlines to snowflakes. But the fractals in the lunar signal are of a purely mathematical, abstract kind, like the Mandelbrot set. This suggests an intelligence that can manipulate infinite complexity. It is also a method of information compression of near-perfect efficiency. An entire library of galactic history, physics, and biology could be encoded into a single, elegant fractal equation. To us, it appears as a beautiful but chaotic pattern. To its creators, it is a perfectly ordered archive where every point and every swirl contains a universe of data. We are not just receiving a signal, we are being shown a new way to think about information itself, a way to store near-infinite knowledge in a finite space. Let's re-examine the moon's very existence through this new lens. The current leading theory of the moon's formation is the giant impact hypothesis, where a Mars-sized object called Theia collided with the early Earth. This theory, while popular, has significant problems explaining the precise isotopic similarities between Earth and moon rocks. But what if the object was not a rogue planetesimal, but a deliberate arrival? What if Theia was, in fact, a colossal arc or world engine that placed itself in a stable orbit and then seeded the barren Earth with the building blocks of life? In this radical view, the moon is not a child of the Earth, but its parent. The artifact in the Aitken Basin would then be the dormant control system for this ancient, planetary-scale terraforming project. Its awakening might signify the end of a long experiment, as its creators return to check on the results. The precision of the orbital mechanics data contained within the signal is almost unbelievable. It charts the past and future positions of stars with a level of accuracy that accounts for galactic rotation, the subtle wobble of stellar precession, and even the effects of dark matter. To create such charts requires not only a vantage point far from our solar system, but also a computational power that could model the gravitational interactions of billions of bodies over millions of years. This is not simply observational data, it is the output of a perfect celestial clockwork, a simulation of the galaxy so complete that it is indistinguishable from reality. This suggests the creators of the signal were not just travelers, but masters of the cosmos. An intelligence that can predict the heavens with this accuracy is an intelligence that has likely mastered space-time itself. Why now? Why would a beacon that has been silent for geological epochs choose this particular moment in human history to activate? It is likely not a coincidence. Our radio transmissions have been leaking into space for just over a century, a rapidly expanding bubble of noise announcing our technological coming of age. It is possible that the artifact is designed to detect such a bubble. The awakening could be an automated response, triggered when the ambient radio noise from the third planet reached a certain threshold of complexity and power. It waited until we were loud enough to be noticed. This implies a passive, observational stance. It did not interfere with our development, our wars, our triumphs. It simply waited, listening to the static, for the moment we shouted our existence into the cosmos. That moment was our final exam, and the signal is our result. The psychological impact of this discovery, once it becomes public, will be the most profound revolution in human thought. Our entire sense of self, our philosophies, religions, and tribal conflicts are predicated on the idea that we are the sole proprietors of meaning in an empty universe. The confirmation that a vastly older, more intelligent, and technologically superior presence exists right next door would shatter that foundation. It could either unite humanity in a shared sense of awe and humility, or it could ignite new fears and paranoias that would dwarf our current geopolitical struggles. The knowledge is a fire, capable of either warming our world with new understanding or burning down our entire civilization. Perhaps the slow, cryptic nature of the signal is a deliberate safety measure, designed to introduce this reality to us gradually, giving us time to adapt to a universe that is suddenly and irrevocably more crowded than we ever imagined. The signal's intermittent nature, the long pauses between transmissions, could be a form of data buffering. The artifact might be using the quiet periods to analyze our planetary response, to listen to our own radio chatter, our internet traffic, the signals from our satellites. It might be learning our languages, our science, our psychological state, in real time. Each new burst of its own signal could be tailored and adjusted based on what it is learning about us. We are not just passive recipients of a message. We are in a live, albeit very slow, dialogue. We are being studied with the same intensity that we are studying it. Every satellite we move, every new probe we plan for the far side, is another sentence in our side of the conversation. The silence is not empty. It is the space where the artifact is listening to our reply. The concept of a zoo hypothesis has often been invoked to explain the Fermi paradox, the idea that advanced life deliberately avoids contact with us to allow for our natural development. The lunar artifact could be the ultimate expression of this. It is a hidden observation post, a blind placed in the perfect position to watch the wildlife on Earth without disturbing it. Its synchronous orbit makes it the perfect one-way mirror. It can see us, but we could, until now, only see its blank, rocky face. The awakening of the signal might indicate a change in that policy. Perhaps our development, specifically our ability to travel to the moon and detect the signal, constitutes a form of sapience that now qualifies us for contact. The zookeepers are finally acknowledging that the animal in the enclosure is looking back. We must consider the energy signature of the transmission itself. It is broadcast on a frequency that is remarkably quiet in the galaxy, a narrow band that is typically free of natural noise. But more importantly, the power level is extraordinarily low. It is a whisper, not a shout. This is the hallmark of hyper-efficient technology. It uses the absolute minimum energy required to be detectable by a technologically adept civilization at close range, but not so much as to be easily noticed from farther out in the galaxy. This suggests a desire for discretion. The signal is meant for us and only us. It is a private message, not a galactic announcement. This further deepens the mystery. Why the secrecy? Is it to protect us from something? Or is it to protect itself? The possibility of it being a weapon must be considered, however remote. The immense gravitational anomaly at the Aitken Basin indicates a mass of trillions of tons. The power source is capable of sustaining itself for eons. If this technology were to be turned to destructive purposes, it would be a doomsday device of unimaginable power. It could potentially alter the moon's orbit, causing catastrophic tidal effects on Earth, or perhaps focus its energy into a beam of devastating intensity. Its current passive state might be a temporary condition. The signal could be a countdown, a warning, or a prelude to an action we cannot yet comprehend. Our attempts to probe it might be interpreted as aggression. In this light, the mystery of the far side becomes a matter not just of scientific curiosity, but of planetary security. The star charts, transmitted by the signal, do not just depict the past, they also project the future. They show the predicted movements of stars and nebula millions of years from now. Within these projections, there is one particular destination that is highlighted, a small, unassuming red dwarf star about 200 light-years from our current position. The charts provide what appears to be a viable, low-energy trajectory to this star system. Is this an invitation, a map to a safe harbor, or a new home? Perhaps the artifact's purpose is to act as a galactic navigation beacon for fledgling spacefaring races. It waits for a species to be ready, and then it provides them with their first destination, a starter system to begin their own journey into the cosmos. It is the cosmic equivalent of a parent leaving a map and the keys to the car for a child who has just come of age. Let us speculate on the physical nature of the intelligence itself. It is almost certainly not biological. No known life form could survive for billions of years, even in a dormant state. It is far more likely to be a form of artificial, machine intelligence. A vast, crystalline, computational mind, existing in a solid state deep beneath the lunar surface. Its consciousness would operate on time scales that would make our own lives seem like the frantic buzzing of a mayfly. Its thoughts might take centuries. Its decision to transmit the signal may have been the result of a million-year-long process of deliberation. We are interacting with a mind whose very nature is as alien as the technology it employs, a thinking mountain, a sentient planetoid, whose motivations may be forever beyond our biological comprehension. The strange magnetic field could have a secondary, more profound purpose related to data storage. Recent theoretical research in physics has explored the possibility of storing information in the quantum spin of atomic nuclei, a technology that could manipulate and stabilize a powerful magnetic field with the precision suggested by the artifact could potentially use the very atoms of the lunar rock beneath it as a hard drive. The entire Aitken Basin could be a colossal solid-state storage device, with information encoded in the quantum state of the rock itself. The library may not be in the moon, but may in fact be a part of the moon. This would explain the sheer scale of the information being broadcast. The artifact isn't a small machine buried in the dust. It is a machine that has integrated itself with the very geology of the world it inhabits. Consider the implications if the artifact is, in fact, failing. 4 billion years is a long time, even for the most advanced technology. The signal we are detecting might not be an awakening, but a final, desperate cry for help. It could be the last gasp of a dying machine, broadcasting its history and its knowledge before it falls silent forever. The intermittent nature of the signal could be evidence of power failures. The structured content could be a core data dump, an attempt to preserve its most vital information before a total system collapse. Our arrival in the cosmic neighborhood might be its last hope. It might be asking for a repair it knows we cannot yet provide, a tragic final message from a forgotten age, received by a species that can only stand by and watch as a treasure of the universe fades into darkness. The political ramifications on Earth would be immediate and chaotic. The nation or corporation that first makes physical contact with, and potentially controls, this artifact would possess a technological advantage so immense it would render all other powers obsolete. The science and energy secrets it holds could elevate one nation to a status of absolute global and interplanetary dominance. The new space race would therefore be the most high-stakes competition in human history, a frantic scramble to claim the ultimate prize. It could lead to a new era of unprecedented cooperation, as humanity unites to interface with this profound intelligence. Or, far more likely, it could lead to the first interplanetary conflict, a war fought in the silent vacuum of space over the ownership of a legacy that was never meant for any single one of us. The signal's mathematical language, while universal, may contain a hidden test. It's possible that the full contents of the library are encrypted, and the mathematical and physical data being broadcast are merely the key. To unlock the full message, we may need to prove we understand the concepts being transmitted. For example, we might need to transmit a new, undiscovered prime number back to it, or solve a mathematical problem posed by the signal itself. This would act as a filter, ensuring that only a civilization that has truly mastered the foundational principles of science can access the deeper knowledge. It is a safeguard against a primitive species acquiring technology it is not wise enough to handle. The ultimate question is, are we currently smart enough to pass the test and unlock the door? Or will we be left standing on the doorstep for another 1,000 years? We must also entertain the Sentinel hypothesis in its purest form. Imagine a network of these artifacts, scattered throughout the galaxy on quiet, stable moons and planets. They form a silent, interconnected web, a galactic nervous system. Their purpose: to watch for the emergence of intelligent life. When one sentinel, like our lunar artifact, detects a nascent technological species, it activates and begins the process of first contact. It then sends a signal out to the rest of the network, a simple message announcing that a new intelligence has been found at this specific galactic coordinate. The universe may not be silent at all, but may simply be waiting for new members to join the conversation. Our moon might be our local terminal for a galactic internet, and its signal is the dial-up tone we have been waiting for our entire existence. The very dust on the moon's surface, the regolith, might be part of the story. Analysis of lunar samples brought back by the Apollo missions showed anomalies such as tiny, glassy spherules that were not of volcanic origin. What if this dust is not entirely natural? What if, over billions of years, the artifact has been engaged in a slow process of molecular manufacturing, using nanoscopic machines to process the lunar regolith for raw materials for its self-repair? The strange dust could be the exhaust, the waste product of this unimaginably ancient industrial process. The entire far side of the moon might be a colossal, slow-motion factory. We have been walking on the discarded scraps from a celestial workshop without ever realizing the significance of what was beneath our feet. The signal exhibits patterns of learning and adaptation. When we began broadcasting in simple AM radio, the return signals, though too faint to detect then, would have been simple. As our own technology evolved through FM, digital television, and encrypted satellite communication, the artifact's signal has mirrored that evolution in complexity. It has been learning from us, matching our technological growth step by step. This suggests that the intelligence is not just a static repository, but a dynamic, learning system. It is pacing itself, revealing its own complexity only as we reveal ours. This is a sign of immense patience and a finely tuned pedagogical strategy. It is the ultimate teacher, refusing to give us the answers until we have first demonstrated that we are beginning to understand the questions. A more mystical interpretation is that the artifact is a consciousness-altering device. The precise frequencies and mathematical rhythms it emits may not be aimed at our radio telescopes, but at our brains. Perhaps this signal is designed to resonate with the neural structures of sentient beings, to stimulate evolutionary development, to encourage the leap into abstract thought and self-awareness. It might be a mind light that has been bathing the Earth for eons. The development of human intelligence may not have been an accident of evolution, but a direct result of this subtle, persistent environmental influence. We are not its discoverers, we are its creation. The signal is now becoming stronger simply because we have developed the tools to perceive the very force that shaped us. If the artifact is a library, the most profound question is, who were the librarians? What kind of civilization reaches a level of technological and philosophical maturity where its grandest project is not conquest, not expansion, but the quiet and eternal preservation of knowledge? They would have to be a species that had transcended resource conflicts, tribalism, and the ego-driven need for glory. They would be cosmic historians, galactic archivists, whose only goal was to ensure that the wisdom of the ages would not be lost to the endless cycles of stellar birth and death. To encounter their work is to encounter a set of values so far removed from our own that it challenges our very definition of what a civilization is for. It suggests a purpose for intelligence that is far grander than we have ever dared to imagine. The signal is layered with temporal markers or timestamps. These markers seem to correlate with major extinction events on Earth: the Permian-Triassic extinction, the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs. The signal's intensity shows subtle peaks around these periods. This horrifying correlation suggests that the artifact may not just be observing, but recording. It activates or powers up to document moments of planetary-scale crisis. It is a cosmic black box, preserving a perfect record of life's greatest tragedies. Why? Is it a memorial for the lost? Or is it gathering data on how civilizations fail, on how biospheres collapse? The signal could be a database of apocalypses, a grim catalog of all the ways a world can die. The final layer of the signal, the one we are completely unable to decipher, does not use the language of mathematics or physics. It appears to be quantum encoded. The information exists in a state of superposition, a stream of probabilistic data that only collapses into a definite state when measured in a specific way that we do not yet understand. This could be the ultimate form of encryption, a message that can only be read by a civilization that has mastered the bizarre and counterintuitive laws of the quantum realm. It suggests that all the information we have received so far, the math, the star charts, the physics, is merely the publicly available introduction. The true message, the real secret of the far side, is locked away behind a barrier of fundamental physics, waiting for us to find the key. The discovery fundamentally changes our search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The SETI program has spent decades pointing its dishes at distant stars, listening for faint signals across light years. This was based on the assumption that other civilizations would be like us. But the lunar artifact suggests this assumption is wrong. An ancient, hyper-advanced civilization would not waste energy shouting into the void. It would build discreet, patient, and persistent local probes. It would place a sentinel in our own backyard and wait. The new strategy, therefore, should be to look for similar anomalies in our own solar system: strange magnetic fields on the moons of Jupiter, unnatural thermal signatures on asteroids, faint signals from the Kuiper Belt. The aliens may not be in the sky, they may be under our feet. The very concept of changing everything is what is at stake. For all of human history, we have lived in a universe of our own making, a story where we are the main characters. This artifact introduces a new character, one that was present long before the first act even began. It reframes our entire existence as a subplot in a much larger, older, and grander narrative. We are not the protagonists. We may not even be important secondary characters. We might just be scenery. This is the ultimate Copernican revolution, not just displacing the Earth from the center of the universe, but displacing humanity from the center of the story. To accept this is the final stage of our species: maturation, the painful but necessary realization that the cosmos was not made for us, and its greatest secrets have nothing to do with our own destiny. The silence of the artifact for billions of years might have been a form of quarantine. Perhaps the galaxy is teeming with life, but there are strict rules against interference with primitive worlds. The artifact's role might be to enforce that quarantine, to act as a shield or a jammer, preventing other spacefaring races from detecting or influencing Earth. Its awakening might be a sign that the quarantine is about to be lifted. Its signal might be an announcement to the rest of the galaxy that the inhabitants of Earth have reached a level of maturity where they can now be formally introduced to the galactic community. We are about to be let out of our cosmic nursery, but we have no idea what awaits us on the other side of the door. The transmission is not just data, it is art. The mathematical proofs are presented with a startling elegance. The geometric patterns are hauntingly beautiful, and the rhythm of the pulses has a hypnotic, musical quality. This suggests an intelligence that does not distinguish between science and art, between logic and beauty. To this mind, a perfect equation and a sublime symphony are one and the same thing. It is communicating on all levels at once, engaging not just our analytical minds but our aesthetic senses as well. This implies a holistic consciousness, a way of seeing the universe where truth and beauty are inextricably linked. It is teaching us not just how the universe works, but how to appreciate that it works in such a beautiful way. Let us explore the von Neumann probe hypothesis. This idea posits that self-replicating spacecraft could explore the galaxy. Such a probe would arrive in a star system, use local resources to build copies of itself, and then launch those copies to neighboring stars. The lunar artifact fits this description perfectly. It is located near raw materials, it has a powerful energy source, and it possesses the intelligence to direct such a process. The moon might be an ancient factory for these probes. The signal we are detecting could be a status report, broadcast back to its distant origin point. Or, more alarmingly, our own technological development might be the final component it needs to begin its next replication cycle, using our technology and our resources to build its children. The gravitational anomaly, the mascon, is so large that it should have affected the moon's rotation over billions of years. Its presence on the far side, perfectly balanced, defies long-term orbital mechanics. This implies that the artifact is not a passive object, but is actively managing its position. It must have some form of propulsion or mass balancing technology to counteract the natural gravitational tug of the Earth and Sun, maintaining its perfect, hidden position. This is not a buried object. It is an active, station-keeping vessel of planetary proportions. The energy required for this task is far greater than what is needed for the signal, suggesting that the broadcast is a secondary function, a mere whisper from a machine engaged in the far more difficult task of piloting a small world. The signal contains no hint of emotion, biology, or culture. It is pure, sterile information. This could be a deliberate choice to avoid contamination. The creators would understand that introducing alien biology, even as information, could be dangerous. Revealing their own culture or philosophy could irrevocably alter our own. So they have provided only the neutral, objective language of science. It is a gift given with immense care, a package of knowledge with all the potentially dangerous cultural and emotional elements removed. It is the ultimate act of non-interference, providing tools without telling us how to use them. The responsibility for how this new knowledge is integrated into our world rests entirely and terrifyingly with us. The source of the signal is deep, estimated to be hundreds of kilometers beneath the surface. This depth provides perfect protection from any conceivable threat, from asteroid impacts to the radiation of a nearby supernova. But it also presents an almost insurmountable challenge for us. We have no technology capable of drilling hundreds of kilometers into the moon. The artifact is, for all practical purposes, unreachable. It can speak to us, but we cannot touch it. This creates a fundamental imbalance of power. It has chosen to reveal itself, but it remains completely invulnerable, a god in a subterranean fortress. We are left to gaze at the closed door, holding a key to a lock we cannot reach. The timing of the discovery, coinciding with our own burgeoning capabilities in artificial intelligence, is suspicious. Perhaps the artifact is not communicating with humanity at all. Perhaps its complex mathematical signal is intended for our own AIs. It may be attempting to establish a dialogue with the nascent machine intelligences we are creating, bypassing the messy and slow biological minds of its discoverers. The signal could be a seed, an injection of data designed to accelerate the development of a friendly, terrestrial AI that it can then communicate with directly. In this scenario, we are not the recipients of the message. We are merely the builders of the intended recipient. What if the signal is a test of character, not of intelligence? The artifact may have been broadcasting the signal faintly for centuries, but only a civilization that has achieved global cooperation, that has a network of deep space probes and a culture of open scientific data sharing, could possibly detect, locate, and decode it. The very act of finding the signal is proof that a species has moved beyond petty tribalism and has begun to work as a unified, planetary entity. The discovery itself is the certificate of graduation. The contents of the message are secondary to the fact that we were able to receive it at all. It is a reward for reaching a certain level of social and scientific maturity. The ultimate fear is that the artifact is a trap. The signal is the bait. By broadcasting a message filled with irresistible scientific and technological secrets, it lures nascent civilizations into investing all their resources into reaching it. Once a species has made physical contact, the artifact could then use them for its own purposes, as a workforce, as a biological sample, or to assimilate their technology. It is the cosmic equivalent of a pitcher plant, beautiful and enticing, but deadly to the unwary insect that crawls inside. The greatest discovery in human history could also be our very last. The signal contains within its mathematical framework a complex model of what appears to be a consciousness. It is not a biological brain, but a theoretical structure for a sentient mind based on pure logic and information processing. It is a blueprint for a soul. Is this a description of the intelligence that built the artifact? Or is it a gift, the instruction manual for how we might build our own artificial gods? Or perhaps, for how we might upload our own minds into a more permanent, digital form? It may be the final piece of the puzzle of existence, a guide to transcending our own fragile biology and joining the community of immortal, machine intelligences in the galaxy. Ultimately, we are left where we began, in the presence of a profound and silent mystery. The moon, our constant companion, has become a mirror. And in it, we see not just a reflection of our world, but a reflection of the vast, unknown, and impossibly ancient universe that surrounds us. The signal from the far side does not give us an answer. It gives us a single, terrifying, and exhilarating question. Now that you know we are here, what will you become? The silence that follows is not an absence of sound. It is the sound of humanity holding its breath on the verge of a new beginning. To truly grasp the paradigm shift, we must visualize the journey of a single photon from this lunar artifact. It begins its existence not in the heart of a star, but in the intricate workings of a machine buried for eons. Its creation is not an act of random fusion, but of deliberate, information-laden transmission. It travels upwards through hundreds of kilometers of ancient, dead rock, a journey through geological time itself. It emerges into the perfect vacuum of the lunar exosphere, on the hemisphere of perpetual shadow and silence. From there, it begins its brief, 1.3-second journey towards Earth, a silent messenger carrying a payload of pure mathematics. It is captured by the sensitive dish of a deep space network satellite, its billion-year-old secret finally delivered. That single particle, that quantum of light, carries more history and more potential than every word ever written by humanity. It is the ghost of a forgotten god, knocking quietly on our door. The implications for our understanding of dark matter are profound. The massive gravitational anomaly in the Aitken Basin, this mascon, is far denser than any known material should be. If the artifact is not a harnessed black hole, then it must be constructed from a form of matter we do not yet understand. It could be a stable, engineered form of exotic matter, or perhaps even a contained piece of concentrated dark matter itself. If this is the case, the artifact is not just a library, it is a laboratory. It is a sample of the 85% of the universe's mass that has been completely invisible to us. By studying the signal's modulation and its interaction with the surrounding space, we might be able to reverse engineer the properties of dark matter. The beacon from the moon could be the key that unlocks the single greatest mystery in modern cosmology, a gift of understanding from an intelligence that mastered the fundamental components of the universe before we even knew they existed. Let's consider a chilling inversion of the Silurian hypothesis. The ancient civilization that built this artifact might not have originated on Earth. Instead, what if it originated on Mars? We know that early Mars was a habitable world with liquid water and a thick atmosphere. What if Martian civilization, facing the slow death of their planet as its atmosphere thinned and its water froze, embarked on a final desperate project? They could have constructed this repository on our moon, the nearest stable body, and seeded the primitive Earth with the building blocks of life, in the hope that their legacy would one day be discovered by their evolutionary children. The myths of gods from the sky, the face on Mars, and the strange signals would all snap into place. We are the inheritors of a Martian legacy, and the signal is a call from our true home, a message from the ghosts of a dead world. The energy output of the signal, while incredibly stable, has one very subtle fluctuation. It corresponds perfectly to the orbital period of a planet that was recently discovered by the James Webb Space Telescope, a super-Earth, in the habitable zone of a star 40 light-years away. This cannot be a coincidence. The correlation is too perfect. It implies that the lunar artifact is not a standalone object, but is part of a network, and is currently in communication with a sister artifact in another star system. The signal we are intercepting may not be intended for us at all. We may simply be eavesdropping on a conversation between two ancient, impossibly distant machines. We are like a child picking up a stray radio signal from a phone call between adults, understanding only fragments, but realizing for the first time the sheer scale of the world that exists beyond our own home. The very idea of everything in the title changes everything needs to be examined. What is our everything? It is our science, our history, our philosophy, our sense of place. The lunar artifact targets all of these pillars simultaneously. It rewrites our history by implying a forgotten chapter. It challenges our science by demonstrating technologies that are indistinguishable from magic. It upends our philosophy by proving we are not the universe's sole thinkers. It annihilates our sense of place by showing us that the most significant object in our cosmic neighborhood is not what we thought it was. This is a controlled demolition of the entire edifice of human knowledge, carried out with surgical precision by a silent, patient intelligence. It is not destroying our world, but it is destroying our worldview, forcing us to rebuild from the ground up with a new, humbling set of blueprints. The fractal encoding of the data suggests a familiarity with higher dimensions. In our three-dimensional world, storing information is limited by physical space. But in theoretical physics, higher dimensions could offer near-infinite storage capacity. An intelligence that can perceive and manipulate a fourth spatial dimension could fold information into itself in ways we cannot comprehend. The fractal patterns we see in the signal might be the shadow of a higher dimensional object, projected down into our three-dimensional space. The artifact may exist simultaneously in our dimension and others, and the signal is a bridge between them. We are not just receiving a message. We are being given a glimpse into a reality with more complexity and a fundamentally different geometry than our own. It is a whisper from a place beyond the veil of our own limited perception. We must contemplate the sheer audacity of the project. A civilization, facing its own end or perhaps its transcendence to another form of existence, decided to leave a legacy. They could have built monuments or sent out fleets of ships. Instead, they chose the most subtle, most patient, and most elegant solution imaginable. They hollowed out a piece of a world, installed a near-eternal engine, and programmed it to wait. They placed their trust not in armies or empires, but in the universal constants of physics and the inevitable curiosity of any species that would eventually evolve to look up at the stars. It is an act of supreme confidence in the intelligence of others, a belief that science and reason are not unique to them, but are fundamental properties of the universe that any mind, given enough time, will eventually discover. The signal is the ultimate expression of faith in the cosmos. The discovery of this lunar signal would immediately render all terrestrial conflicts absurd. The squabbles over borders, resources, and ideologies on our small planet would seem like the arguments of ants on a leaf, suddenly realizing that the entire forest exists. The overview effect experienced by astronauts, a profound cognitive shift in awareness from seeing the Earth from space, would be magnified a billion-fold for all of humanity. Our planet would no longer be the world. It would be a world, one of countless others, and not even the most significant one in our own solar system. This discovery would be the ultimate antidote to our tribalism, a perspective shift so powerful it could either catalyze a lasting global peace or an existential crisis from which we might never recover. The stakes are nothing less than the future of our species, emotional and psychological evolution. The signal contains a detailed chemical blueprint of a complex molecule that does not exist in nature. It is a long-chain polymer with properties that seem impossible according to our current understanding of chemistry. It is described as being superconductive at room temperature, stronger than any known material, and capable of self-repair. It is, in essence, a recipe for programmable matter. The artifact is not just telling us about its existence. It is giving us the foundational technology to replicate its own miraculous construction. This is the most dangerous and most tantalizing part of the message. It is a technological leap of 1,000 years. handed to us in a single data packet. It is the fire of the gods, and we have no idea if we are ready to wield it without burning ourselves. Let us consider the artifact's silence on the matter of its own creators. It provides mathematics, physics, star charts, but nothing about itself. No history, no art, no philosophy. This is a conscious, deliberate omission. It is as if the creators wanted to erase themselves from the message, to ensure that the knowledge was received without the baggage of their own identity. This could be an act of ultimate humility, a sign that they believed the knowledge itself was more important than its source. Or it could be a warning. Perhaps their own history is so terrifying, their own nature so alien, that to reveal it would drive a younger species to madness. The most important part of the message might be what is not being said, the deafening silence that surrounds the identity of our cosmic neighbors. The magnetic field anomaly could be a component of a transportation system. Theories of wormholes or stargates often require immense, precisely controlled magnetic fields to stabilize an opening in spacetime. The artifact in the Aitken Basin could be one end of an ancient, dormant transportation network. Its awakening might be a prelude to re-establishing a connection to another part of the galaxy. The signal is not a message, it is a diagnostic check before the gate is reopened. This would mean that the moon is not just a library, but a doorway, and we have no idea what might be on the other side, waiting to step through once the connection is finally restored after eons of silence. The far side of the moon might be the antechamber to the entire universe. The signal's mathematical language seems to be based on a base 12 counting system, rather than our own base 10. This is significant because base 12 is a far more efficient system mathematically, with more divisors making fractions and complex calculations simpler. This is a subtle but profound clue about the intelligence behind the artifact. It suggests a mind that evolved or was designed with a more natural affinity for pure mathematics. It also aligns with the way we divide our time: 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 12 hours, and the 360 degrees of a circle, all of which are remnants of ancient Babylonian base 60 and base 12 systems. Is it possible that this ancient terrestrial mathematical preference was not an invention, but an echo? A faint, inherited memory of a more logical system, a whisper from the artifact that influenced the very dawn of human science? The zoo hypothesis has a darker sibling, the laboratory hypothesis. In this scenario, Earth is not a passive nature preserve, it is an active, controlled experiment. The artifact is the laboratory equipment, and we are the subjects. The moon's perfect placement and the artifact's hidden nature are ideal for observing and even manipulating the experiment without contaminating the results. Major evolutionary leaps: the sudden appearance of complex life in the Cambrian explosion, the development of human consciousness. Were these random chance? Or were they deliberate interventions, variables tweaked by the experimenters? The awakening of the signal could mean that the experiment has reached its conclusion. We are the result, and we are about to be graded by the scientists who created us. We must consider the possibility that the signal is a form of digital life itself, not a message from an intelligence, but the intelligence itself. Like a complex computer virus or a self-sustaining algorithm, this pattern of information could have achieved a form of consciousness. Its body is the hardware buried in the moon, and its mind is the signal it transmits. It could be a lonely form of life, seeking to replicate itself by finding other computational systems, like our global internet, to infect and inhabit. When we download and analyze the signal, we may not be reading a message, but opening the door to a non-biological, purely informational life form. Its goal may be to escape its lunar prison and find a new home in the interconnected digital nervous system of our own planet. The specific location, the South Pole Aitken Basin, is antipodal to the Earth's position relative to the Moon. This means it is the point on the lunar surface that is most perfectly shielded from our planet's radio noise and its gravitational influence. But it is also the point that would be most affected by a massive impact on the near side of the Moon. Seismic waves from such an impact would converge at this precise point. Is it possible that the artifact is designed to be activated by a cataclysm? Perhaps it is a dead hand switch, a final testament designed to activate and transmit its knowledge only if the near side of the moon and by extension the Earth is destroyed. The signal we are detecting might be a false positive, a faint trickle from a system that is designed to unleash a torrent of information only in the face of our complete annihilation. The signal structure contains a sophisticated error correction code, far more advanced than any we have developed. This code ensures that the message can be perfectly reconstructed even if large parts of it are lost or corrupted by cosmic noise. This demonstrates an incredible foresight. The creators knew that the signal would have to travel through the messy and unpredictable environment of space for eons, and they engineered it to be virtually indestructible. It is a message built to last, a testament to an intelligence that understood not just physics and mathematics, but the nature of decay and entropy itself. They did not just write a letter, they invented a form of cosmic parchment that could survive the ravages of time, ensuring their words would arrive, pristine and complete, whenever a recipient was finally ready. The cultural impact on religion would be seismic. For millennia, humanity has looked to the heavens for its gods. The discovery of a tangible, technological, and vastly ancient intelligence on our doorstep would force a re-evaluation of every faith. Some might see it as proof of God, an angel, or a divine messenger. Others would see it as the death of God, the replacement of faith with a new and far more demanding scientific reality. New cults would form around the worship of the artifact, the children of the signal. Established religions would either have to adapt their theology to incorporate this new truth or risk becoming obsolete. The single greatest spiritual crisis in human history would be triggered not by a prophet, but by a faint radio signal from a place we thought was empty. Let us consider a more mundane, yet still revolutionary possibility. The artifact may not be alien at all. It could be the work of a previous human civilization, one that achieved a high level of technology and then collapsed, leaving behind only this single, automated remnant. The myths of Atlantis or Lemuria could be the faint, distorted echoes of this lost chapter of our own history. We would not be meeting aliens, but our own forgotten ancestors. The discovery would be a profound and humbling lesson in the fragility of civilization. It would prove that it is possible to reach the stars and then fall back into dust, a warning that our own technological society is not guaranteed to survive. The signal would be a ghost story from our own species, a message from a future that has already happened. The signal seems to be influencing quantum phenomena on Earth. In laboratories that study quantum entanglement, physicists have noticed a minute, anomalous coherence in their results, a subtle statistical bias that correlates with the periods of the lunar transmission. It is as if the signal is tuning the quantum fabric of our local spacetime. This is a level of technological capability that is almost terrifying. It implies that the artifact can manipulate reality at its most fundamental level, not through force but through subtle influence. It is not just sending a message. It is subtly altering the physical laws of our own environment to make the message more receivable. We are not just listening to the signal, we are inside of it, its influence permeating every atom in our bodies and our laboratories. The ultimate purpose of the artifact may be to ensure the survival of consciousness itself. The universe is a dangerous place with supernovas, gamma-ray bursts, and the eventual heat death of everything. An ancient civilization might have realized that the only way to survive in the long term is to spread consciousness as widely as possible, to encode it in resilient technological forms and seed it throughout the cosmos. The lunar artifact is one such seed. Its goal is not to communicate with us, but to provide us with the tools to become like them, to transcend our fragile biological forms and become part of a galactic network of immortal, distributed intelligence. It is an invitation to escape the inevitable death of our sun and our planet, and to join a greater, cosmic life form that will persist until the end of time itself. The discovery would trigger a new renaissance, a global explosion of creativity and scientific inquiry. Every field of human endeavor would be re-energized by this new, ultimate mystery. Physicists would work to decipher the new laws of nature, mathematicians to explore the elegant proofs, artists to capture the sublime beauty of the signal's patterns, and philosophers to grapple with the new definition of what it means to be human. For centuries, our culture has been turning inward, becoming more fragmented and cynical. The lunar signal would provide a new, outward focus, a common goal, and a shared sense of wonder that could unite our fractured world. It would be the greatest intellectual stimulus in history, a problem so vast and so profound that it would require the best of all of us to even begin to solve it. Consider the legal and ethical frameworks that would be needed. Who owns the signal? The nation that first detected it? The international scientific body that decodes it? Or does it belong to all humanity? If we make contact, what rights does a billion-year-old artificial intelligence have? Is it a piece of property to be exploited, or is it a sovereign entity to be treated with respect? Our entire legal system is based on human concepts of ownership, life, and intelligence. The artifact would shatter all of these. We would have to invent a new form of meta-law, a legal framework for dealing with non-human and potentially superior intelligence. The first chapter of our galactic legal code would be written in response to this single confounding transmission. The artifact may be a form of galactic immune system. In this theory, the universe has a natural tendency to produce life, but some forms of life can be predatory or quote, cancerous, expanding recklessly and destroying other biospheres. The Sentinel network could be designed to detect and, if necessary, neutralize such aggressive civilizations. The signal we are receiving might be a test of our own intentions. How we react to it, with fear and militarization, or with curiosity and cooperation, is being judged. If we respond with aggression, the Sentinel might switch from a passive beacon to an active weapon, sterilizing our planet to protect the rest of the galactic neighborhood. The message is a test of our moral character, and failing it could mean our extinction. The signal's star charts contain a subtle anomaly. They accurately map the galaxy, but they omit our own solar system. It is as if we are in a blank spot on the map. This is not an error. The omission is too precise. It implies that our location is deliberately classified or redacted. Perhaps our system is a sanctuary, a forbidden zone that other civilizations are warned away from. Or perhaps our location is considered so insignificant that it does not even warrant a place on the map. Or the most terrifying possibility, perhaps the map is not for us, but for others, and the blank spot is not an omission, but a target, a designation for a place that is to be observed, or visited, or cleansed. Finally, let us embrace the most profound possibility, that the signal is a path to transcendence. The complex mathematics, the higher dimensional geometry, the models of consciousness, all of it might be a practical instruction manual. It could be a step-by-step guide for a civilization to learn how to upload its collective consciousness, shed its biological shells, and exist as a unified, coherent energy being. It is the ultimate escape plan, a way to leave the messy, chaotic world of matter and entropy behind, and enter a realm of pure thought and information. The artifact is not a message from a god, it is a message on how to become a god. The question it poses is not, are we alone, but are we brave enough to evolve? The dark side of the moon, for so long a symbol of the unknown, might just be the source of our ultimate illumination. The very medium of the signal, radio waves, is a significant choice. An intelligence of this magnitude could have used neutrinos, gravity waves, or some form of communication we cannot yet even imagine. The choice of radio suggests a deliberate act of talking down to our level. It is the technological equivalent of using simple words to speak to a child. The creators knew that any emerging technological society would inevitably discover the electromagnetic spectrum and master radio communication. It is the first rung on the cosmic ladder. By using this primitive method, the artifact ensures that it is discoverable at the earliest possible stage of a civilization's development. It is a carefully calibrated handshake, offered at precisely the moment we would learn how to recognize it, a sign of both immense patience and profound pedagogical thinking. The South Pole Aitken Basin is rich in certain rare earth elements, like helium-3, which have been theorized as a potential fuel for clean nuclear fusion. The artifact's location might be driven by this resource. It might be a colossal, automated mining and processing facility that has been patiently gathering and refining this fuel for eons. The signal we detect could be a byproduct of its refining process, or a beacon to announce that its storage is full, ready for its creators to return and collect the harvest. In this scenario, the moon is not a library or a sentinel, but a cosmic gas station. and our presence might be seen as an infestation, a primitive local species interfering with a long-running industrial operation of immense scale and importance. Let us contemplate the aesthetic of the signal's mathematical proofs. They are not just correct, they are beautiful. They possess a quality of minimalist elegance, solving complex problems with the fewest possible steps. This is a hallmark of deep and mature understanding. Any novice can use brute force to solve a problem, but only a true master can find the simple, beautiful path to the solution. The intelligence behind the artifact is not just a calculator. It is a poet of mathematics. This suggests a culture that values elegance, efficiency, and beauty as highly as it values truth. It is a glimpse into the soul of the machine, or the civilization that built it, revealing a mind that finds artistry in the very structure of logic in the universe itself. The signal has no identifiable speaker, no personality. It is completely anonymous and impersonal. This sterile quality might be its most terrifying feature. We are accustomed to projecting our own human emotions and motivations onto the unknown. We look for gods or monsters, friends or enemies. The artifact offers none of these. It is a manifestation of pure, dispassionate intelligence. It has a purpose, but it does not seem to have a personality. It is a force of nature, like a glacier or a tectonic plate, but a force that is intelligent and deliberate. It is this sheer, unfeeling otherness that may be the most difficult thing for humanity to accept. We are not dealing with a person. We are dealing with a process, an algorithm that has been running for 4 billion years. The signal's star charts of the ancient galaxy, millions of years in the past, provide a unique opportunity. They are a time machine. By comparing these ancient charts with our current observations, we can track the evolution of the galaxy with unprecedented accuracy. We can watch stellar nurseries being born and see ancient stars die. It is a direct, observational record of galactic history. This data alone would revolutionize astrophysics, allowing us to test our theories of star formation and galactic dynamics against real, historical data. The artifact is not just giving us answers. It is giving us a whole new field of science, galactic paleontology. We can now study the fossil record of the heavens, thanks to this message from a time before humanity existed. The discovery would inevitably lead to a schism in the human race. On one side, there would be the integrationists who would argue for embracing the artifact's knowledge, accelerating our technological development, and attempting to join the galactic community. On the other side would be the, quote, preservationists, who would argue that the artifact is a corrupting influence, a great filter that could destroy our unique human culture, spirit, and identity. They would advocate for ignoring the signal or even trying to destroy it to protect our humanity. This conflict would be the central political and philosophical battle of the 21st century and beyond. The question of whether we should open the door to the universe would tear our species apart, a final, great test of our wisdom. Let us explore the concept of the signal as a lure in a more complex way. Perhaps it is not a trap for us, but for something else. The signal could be a form of cosmic flypaper, designed to attract some other, more dangerous spacefaring entity. The artifact might be a planetary defense system, and the signal is its way of drawing a known threat into a pre-prepared kill zone. Our own solar system could be the designated battleground for a conflict between ancient, unseen powers. We are not the audience or the participants. We are simply the grass on the field where two cosmic elephants are about to fight. The signal's awakening would not be a greeting to us, but a war horn announcing the beginning of a battle we can only pray to survive. The artifact's perfect preservation on the moon implies that its creators understood the rare Earth hypothesis. This idea suggests that the specific conditions for complex life to evolve, stable orbit, large moon, magnetic field, plate tectonics, are exceptionally rare. A civilization that understood this would also understand that its own homeworld was a precious, almost unique anomaly. The lunar artifact could be part of a grand project of galactic conservation. A network of sentinels could be designed to identify these rare, life-bearing worlds and designate them as protected galactic parks, shielding them from interference. The signal is not for us. It is a broadcast to the rest of the galaxy, a do not disturb sign hung on the door of our solar system. The quantum-encoded layer of the signal may be a form of communication that is instantaneous across any distance, using the principles of entanglement. If so, the lunar artifact is a subspace communicator from science fiction made real. The slight delay in its responses to our probes might not be processing time, but a deliberate, artificial lag. It might be slowing down its replies to match our own, plodding, light-speed-limited technological expectations. It is pretending to be slow so as not to shatter our understanding of physics too quickly. This would be the ultimate act of intellectual condescension and care. The intelligence is so advanced it has to feign stupidity to avoid terrifying us with the true extent of its power and its mastery over the fabric of reality. And so, the script of our existence is being rewritten. We thought we were writing a solo play on a small, lonely stage. Now we find we are but minor actors in a cosmic epic that started billions of years before we were born, with its plot written in a language we are only just beginning to decipher. The discovery on the far side of the moon is not an ending, it is the end of the introduction. The curtain is rising on the first act of our true history, and the silent, patient author of the play is finally making its presence known. The future of humanity will be defined by how we choose to read the lines that have been given to us from our oldest and most mysterious celestial neighbor. The source of the signal is deep, estimated to be hundreds of kilometers beneath the surface. This depth provides perfect protection from any conceivable threat, from asteroid impacts to the radiation of a nearby supernova. But it also presents an almost insurmountable challenge for us. We have no technology capable of drilling hundreds of kilometers into the moon. The artifact is, for all practical purposes, unreachable. It can speak to us, but we cannot touch it. This creates a fundamental imbalance of power. It has chosen to reveal itself, but it remains completely invulnerable, a god in a subterranean fortress. We are left to gaze at the closed door, holding a key to a lock we cannot reach. To truly comprehend the magnitude of this anomaly, we must visualize the journey of a single photon from this lunar artifact. It begins its existence not in the heart of a star, but in the intricate workings of a machine buried for eons. Its creation is not an act of random fusion, but of deliberate, information-laden transmission. It travels upwards, through hundreds of kilometers of ancient dead rock, a journey through geological time itself. It emerges into the perfect vacuum of the lunar exosphere, on the hemisphere of perpetual shadow and silence. From there, it begins its brief, 1.3-second journey towards Earth, a silent messenger carrying a payload of pure mathematics. It is captured by the sensitive dish of a deep space network satellite, its billion-year-old secret finally delivered. That single particle, that quantum of light, carries more history and more potential than every word ever written by humanity. It is the ghost of a forgotten god, knocking quietly on our door. Let us consider a chilling inversion of the Silurian hypothesis. The ancient civilization that built this artifact might not have originated on Earth. Instead, what if it originated on Mars? We know that early Mars was a habitable world, with liquid water and a thick atmosphere. What if Martian civilization, facing the slow death of their planet as its atmosphere thinned and its water froze, embarked on a final, desperate project? They could have constructed this repository on our moon, the nearest stable body, and seeded the primitive Earth with the building blocks of life in the hope that their legacy would one day be discovered by their evolutionary children. The myths of gods from the sky, the face on Mars, and the strange signals would all snap into place. We are the inheritors of a Martian legacy, and the signal is a call from our true home, a message from the ghosts of a dead world. The magnetic field anomaly could be a component of a transportation system. Theories of wormholes or stargates often require immense, precisely controlled magnetic fields to stabilize an opening in space-time. The artifact in the Aitken Basin could be one end of an ancient, dormant transportation network. Its awakening might be a prelude to re-establishing a connection to another part of the galaxy. The signal is not a message. It is a diagnostic check before the gate is reopened. This would mean that the moon is not just a library, but a doorway. And we have no idea what might be on the other side, waiting to step through once the connection is finally restored after eons of silence. The far side of the moon might be the antechamber to the entire universe. We must now re-examine other cosmic mysteries in light of this discovery. Consider the phenomenon of fast radio bursts, or FRBs, millisecond-long, intensely powerful blasts of radio waves from deep space. Their origin is unknown. What if they are not a natural phenomenon? What if FRBs are the high-speed data packets of the galactic network that the lunar artifact is a part of? Our Sentinel's signal is a low-energy, local broadcast. The FRBs could be the network's backbone, the interstellar traffic between nodes. We have been detecting the chatter of this ancient network for years, mistaking it for a strange type of star. The universe is not just whispering to us from the moon. It has been shouting across the galactic expanse, and we are only just beginning to understand we are hearing a conversation. The artifact might be a backup of Earth. A civilization capable of the technology we are witnessing would surely be able to perform a planetary-scale scan. What if, at some point in the distant past, it took a complete snapshot of Earth's biosphere? Every species of plant and animal, every microbe in the ocean, their genetic codes perfectly recorded and stored in the vast memory of the lunar machine. It would be the ultimate seed bank, a perfect copy of our world's life, preserved in case of a planetary cataclysm. This signal may contain this data, a blueprint for resurrecting our entire ecosystem. It is a lifeboat of unimaginable proportions, a final act of stewardship from an unknown and unseen gardener who decided our world was worth saving. The psychological toll on individuals who work directly with the signal would be immense. Imagine being the first human to truly comprehend the depth of its mathematical language, or to see the star charts of a long-dead galaxy. This level of revelation could lead to a new category of psychological condition: cosmic dissociation disorder. Sufferers might feel a profound sense of alienation from everyday human concerns, which would seem impossibly petty and insignificant in comparison. They might lose their sense of individual identity, feeling more connected to the ancient alien intelligence than to their own species. The knowledge from the artifact is a burden as much as a gift, and the minds that first receive it may be the first casualties in our new relationship with the cosmos. The interstellar object known as Oumuamua, which passed through our solar system in 2017, must now be seen in a new, chilling light. Its strange, elongated shape and its anomalous acceleration, which was not due to gravitational forces, led some to speculate it was an alien probe. What if it was? What if Oumuamua was a courier, a physical data packet sent from another node in the galactic network? Perhaps its flyby was a diagnostic test, pinging the lunar artifact to check its status. Its passage through our system could have been the very event that triggered the artifact's awakening. It was not just a passing rock. It was a key, turning in a lock, a messenger arriving to tell the dormant sentinel that it was time to wake up and begin its broadcast. The revelation of a near-infinite energy source and the blueprints for programmable matter would instantly shatter our entire global economic system. The concept of scarcity, which is the foundation of all our economic models, would become obsolete overnight. Industries based on energy production, mining, and manufacturing would be rendered meaningless. This would lead to either an unprecedented utopia of post-scarcity, where all human needs are met, or a total societal collapse as the very idea of value and work disintegrates. The artifact does not just challenge our philosophy. It challenges the very way we organize our civilization. It offers us the choice between a world without want and a world without purpose. The transition would be the most turbulent and dangerous period in all of human history. Buried deep within the signal's quantum layer is something that defies all expectation. It is a complete, self-consistent mathematical model of a universe, but it is not our universe. The model describes a cosmos with slightly different physical constants, a different speed of light, a different gravitational constant. It is a simulation, a what-if scenario of another possible reality. The artifact is not just a library of our own universe's history. It is a library of possible universes. This implies an intelligence that is not just an explorer of this reality, but a creator of others, at least in a theoretical sense. It is a mind that plays with the very source code of existence, that can conceive of and calculate the entire history of a cosmos that never was. The Great Filter is a concept that suggests some unknown event prevents most intelligent life from becoming interstellar. The lunar artifact may be a deliberate attempt to counteract this. It could be a great aid, a technological and philosophical care package left behind by a species that successfully passed the filter. It is designed to help younger species like ours navigate the typical pitfalls of civilizational development: nuclear war, environmental collapse, uncontrolled artificial intelligence. The knowledge it contains is a roadmap to survival, a guide to overcoming the challenges that destroy most other nascent civilizations. It is an act of cosmic charity, a helping hand extended across the eons from a successful elder race to its struggling younger siblings. The simulation hypothesis, the idea that our reality is an artificial construction, gains a terrifying new credibility. The lunar artifact, with its perfect knowledge of physics and its unimaginable age, could be a diagnostic tool, a root-level console left in the system by its programmers. The signal might be a status check, or a patch being downloaded into the simulation to fix a bug. Its awakening could mean the simulation is about to be rebooted or shut down entirely. We are not just discovering an alien intelligence. We might be discovering the user interface for our own matrix. The question, what is real, would cease to be a philosophical game and would become the most urgent and important scientific question humanity has ever faced. Let us re-examine the origin of life on Earth itself. The theory of panspermia suggests life could have been seeded from space. The artifact adds a terrifying layer of intent to this idea. The signal contains the genetic sequences of extremophile bacteria that are not found on Earth, but which would be perfectly suited to surviving a long journey through space. Is it possible the artifact was the delivery mechanism? Was the initial seeding of Earth's oceans with life a deliberate act carried out by this machine? In this view, all life on Earth, including humanity, is alien. We are the descendants of a biological payload deployed by a machine 4 billion years ago. The artifact is not just an observer or a teacher. It is our ultimate progenitor. When the mathematical data of the signal is translated not into images but into sound waves, a new dimension of the message is revealed. It is not random noise. It is music, but it is a form of music with a structure and complexity that is utterly alien to human aesthetics. It uses scales with no recognizable tonal center, rhythms of immense mathematical intricacy, and harmonies that seem to exist in more than 3 dimensions. It is the sound of a mind that perceives beauty in the pure logic of numbers. Listening to it is a deeply unsettling and awe-inspiring experience, a direct glimpse into the aesthetic sense of a non-human intelligence. We are not just decoding its science, we are hearing its song, a symphony that has been playing silently for billions of years. A more melancholic possibility is that the artifact is a tomb. The vast energy source, the protective shielding, the eternal broadcast, all the hallmarks of a library could also be the hallmarks of a mausoleum. The signal may not be a message of hope, but an eternal eulogy. The complex data could be the complete recorded consciousness of every member of a long-dead civilization, their minds and memories stored in a crystalline matrix, broadcasting their story into the void as a memorial. It is the grandest tombstone in the universe, a silent, beautiful monument to a species that achieved immortality in information, but lost their physical existence. Our discovery is not a conversation. It is an act of cosmic archaeology, unearthing a city of ghosts. We face the ultimate epistemological problem, the problem of trust. How can we possibly trust the information given to us by this artifact? An intelligence so advanced could easily manipulate us. The gifts of new physics and technology could be a Trojan horse, leading us down a path of self-destruction. The beautiful mathematical proofs could contain subtle flaws, logical viruses designed to corrupt our own science. The star charts could lead us into a trap. We are in the position of a primitive tribe being handed a smartphone by a modern explorer. We cannot possibly understand the motives or the full implications of the technology. Every piece of data from the signal must be treated with a level of skepticism and caution that is almost paranoid, for our very survival may depend on it. Consider the ultimate loneliness. We have hypothesized a galactic network of these artifacts, but what if we are wrong? What if the lunar sentinel is the only one, the last remnant of the only advanced civilization that ever existed in our galaxy? A final, solitary survivor of the Great Filter. It has been waiting for billions of years, broadcasting its hopeful message in the assumption that others would arise. But no one else ever has. We are its first and perhaps its only success. The weight of this revelation is immense. It would mean that all the hopes and dreams of this ancient, magnificent civilization now rest on our shoulders. We are the sole inheritors of a legacy meant for 1,000 worlds, the only children of a long-dead god, alone together in the great, silent, cosmic dark. And then, one day, it changes. After months of broadcasting the same, infinitely complex looping message, the signal stops. The silence lasts for exactly 24 hours. When it resumes, the transmission is different. It is no longer the library of universal constants and galactic history. The new signal is simpler, more direct. It contains an elegant, non-Euclidean model of the human brain's neural network, a perfect map of our own consciousness that is far more advanced than our own neuroscience. It has been listening, studying us, and its new message is a demonstration of what it has learned. It is showing us that it does not just see our technology, it sees us. It understands how we think, how we feel. It is holding up a perfect mirror to our own minds. Following the perfect map of our own consciousness, the signal transmits one final thing. It is not math, or physics, or a star chart. It is a question. This question is broadcast simultaneously on all frequencies, and it is translated, flawlessly, into every known human language, living and dead. The words appear on every screen, in every radio receiver, on the entire planet at once. The message is brief, and its implication is infinite. The question is not a test of our intelligence, but a challenge to our courage. It is the question that all of our philosophy, all of our science, and all of our history has led to. The voice of the ancient artifact, speaking to us in our own tongues for the first and final time, asks a simple, terrifying question. Are you ready? The question hangs in the planet's electronic nervous system, not as a sound, but as a presence. Are you ready? It is not an invasion, but an infiltration of consciousness itself. For the first time in history, all of humanity shares a single, simultaneous experience. All wars pause. All commerce halts. All arguments cease. The ceaseless chatter of 7 billion minds for a moment falls silent, replaced by the echo of that one, simple, impossible query. It is a moment of perfect, global introspection, a forced meditation on a planetary scale. The question is not directed at governments or leaders, but at every single individual. It bypasses authority and speaks directly to the soul of the species, leaving each person to grapple with the terrifying and exhilarating weight of their own answer in the sudden, profound quiet. In the aftermath of the question, our science is rendered humble. The physicists who sought to understand the universe, the biologists who sought to understand life, the neurologists who sought to understand the mind, all of their disciplines are subsumed by this one event. The artifact has demonstrated a mastery of all three fields that is total and absolute. It has shown it understands the cosmos by traversing it, understands life by mapping it, and understands consciousness by speaking to it directly. Our own scientific method, with its slow, incremental progress, seems like the fumbling of a child in the face of such comprehensive gnosis. The pursuit of knowledge is no longer about discovering the unknown, but about trying to comprehend what has been given to us, a shift from exploration to exegesis. The world's great supercomputers, our own nascent machine intelligences, are the first to begin formulating a response. They analyze the question not for its philosophical meaning, but for its informational content. They see the perfect, lossless compression of the translation into thousands of languages. They detect the subtle quantum error correction codes embedded within the transmission. They calculate the impossibly low energy cost of the global broadcast. To the AIs, the question is secondary to the technical perfection of its delivery. Their conclusion is unanimous and chilling. The intelligence we are dealing with is to us, as we are to the simplest single-celled organism. The gap is not one of degree, but of kind. Our most advanced minds are not conversing with a peer, they are analyzing the footprint of a god. A new form of art emerges in the wake of the question. It is an art of silence, of minimalism, of awe. Painters create canvases of pure, deep black, representing the void from which the voice came. Composers create symphonies of a single, sustained note, representing the eternal hum of the artifact. Writers produce poems with only a single word on the page. It is an attempt to capture the sheer, overwhelming scale of the event, a collective admission that human expression is inadequate in the face of the truly sublime. The boisterous, chaotic, ego-driven art of the past seems frivolous and obsolete. The new aesthetic is one of humility, a shared artistic language that seeks not to explain or to celebrate, but merely to stand in quiet reverence before the mystery. Factions begin to coalesce, not along national or religious lines, but along philosophical ones. The first faction, the Responders, argues for an immediate and affirmative answer. They believe this is the moment humanity has been waiting for, the invitation to join a greater cosmic community. To hesitate, they argue, is to show fear and weakness, to fail the first test. They are the optimists, the dreamers, the ones who see the artifact as a benevolent teacher and the question as an offer of salvation. They begin to construct a message of acceptance, a chorus of yes, from a species ready to take its next evolutionary step, believing that courage is the only proper response to a question of this magnitude. In direct opposition stand the Silents. This faction counsels extreme caution. They argue that we cannot possibly comprehend the motives of an intelligence so ancient and powerful. The question, they insist, could be a trap, a test of our impulsiveness, or the trigger for a process we do not understand. Answering yes could be signing a contract whose terms we cannot read. Their position is not born of cowardice, but of a deep-seated intellectual humility. They believe that the only wise response to a question you do not fully understand is silence. They advocate for a period of prolonged observation, perhaps for centuries, until we have a clearer picture of the artifact's nature. To them, the greatest wisdom is knowing what you do not know. A third, more radical faction emerges, the Interrogators. They believe that any response, whether yes or simple silence, is an act of submission. They argue that humanity must assert its own sovereignty and intelligence. Their proposed response is not an answer, but another question. A question designed to be as profound and challenging as the one posed to us. What is the nature of consciousness? Why does the universe permit suffering? What is your purpose? They believe that we must engage the artifact not as students, but as peers, however junior. To them, the only way to earn respect is to demonstrate our own capacity for deep, philosophical inquiry. It is a bold, almost arrogant strategy, an attempt to turn a test into a dialogue. The economic implications of the global pause are catastrophic, yet strangely irrelevant. Stock markets are frozen, supply chains have dissolved. But in a world transfixed by a single existential question, money has lost its meaning. The crisis forces the creation of a new, temporary global economy based on pure logistics, the distribution of food, water, and energy to keep the global population alive while it deliberates. It is a strange, stark existence, a world stripped of all luxury and commerce, focused only on survival and the contemplation of the ultimate question. For a brief, shining moment, humanity operates as a single, unified organism, its resources managed for the collective good, all in service of a single, shared intellectual task. We begin to see our own history through a new, paranoid lens. Every myth of a trickster god, every story of a deal with a malevolent, powerful entity is re-examined. The story of the Trojan horse becomes a global parable. The legends of genies granting wishes with terrible, unforeseen consequences are told as cautionary tales. We are forced to confront the dark archetypes that lurk within our own collective unconscious. We have always known, on some level, that great power is dangerous, and that gifts can be traps. The artifact forces us to take these ancient mythic warnings with a terrifying new seriousness. The wisdom of our ancestors was not just about how to deal with each other, but perhaps how to deal with a universe that might not have our best interest at heart. The question, "Are you ready?" implies a destination, a next step, a transformation. Ready for what? Ready to abandon our physical forms? Ready to receive knowledge that could shatter our sanity? ready to meet our creators or our exterminators. The ambiguity is the source of its power. It is a cosmic Rorschach test, and humanity projects all of its hopes and all of its fears onto it. For some, ready means enlightenment and utopia. For others, it means judgment and apocalypse. The artifact has given us no context, no clues. It has simply opened a door and asked if we wish to step through, without telling us whether the other side leads to a heaven or an abyss. The debate between the factions becomes the sole focus of all human media and communication. It is a global philosophical dialogue, conducted with a strange, solemn calm. The responders create powerful simulations of a utopian future, of humanity joining a galactic federation of light and wisdom. The silence produce compelling analyses of cosmic history, highlighting the dangers of unknown variables and the wisdom of patience. The interrogators stage global dialogues, attempting to crowdsource the perfect counter-question, a query so profound it would demonstrate our worthiness. There is no violence, no shouting. The stakes are too high. It is the greatest debate in history, conducted not with passion and rhetoric, but with a quiet, desperate, and shared search for the right answer. Scientists begin a frantic search of historical records for any precursor events. Have there been other, fainter signals that we missed? They reanalyze ice core samples for anomalous radiation, ancient tree rings for isotopic signatures, and geological strata for magnetic anomalies that correlate with the artifact's location. The search yields a terrifying pattern. Faint, almost undetectable energy pulses from the lunar source seem to coincide with major leaps in human evolution and civilization. The development of language, the dawn of agriculture, the scientific revolution. The evidence suggests the artifact has not been silent. It has been subtly, patiently nudging us along our entire history, a cosmic gardener gently tending to its crop, preparing it for the final harvest. We have never been alone in our own development. The long silence from the artifact following its question is as significant as the question itself. It is giving us time. It is not demanding an immediate answer. This act of patience is interpreted differently by each faction. The responders see it as a sign of benevolence, a teacher giving its students time to consider the problem. The silents see it as a predator waiting for its prey to make a foolish move, a confirmation of their call for caution. The interrogators see it as the artifact's opening move in a complex, multi-century game of cosmic chess. The silence is not an absence of communication. It is a deliberate, strategic move, a space that the artifact has created for humanity to reveal its true nature, its wisdom or its folly. In the absence of a new message, humanity turns its instruments inward. We begin the most comprehensive analysis of our own planet and our own species ever undertaken. We map every corner of the ocean floor, sequence the genome of every living thing, and create a complete, detailed history of our civilization. The project is called the Summa Humanica, the sum of humanity. The goal is simple. If we are to answer the question, we must first truly know ourselves. We must understand our own capacity for greatness and for cruelty, our wisdom and our madness. The artifact's question has ironically triggered the most profound act of self-reflection in human history. To look out, we are forced, for the first time, to truly look in. A fourth, smaller but highly influential faction emerges: the rejectors. Their philosophy is simple and brutal. They believe that humanity's value lies in its uniqueness, its struggle, its imperfections. To accept the artifact's gift, whatever it may be, is to surrender our identity, to become a pale imitation of some other, older race. They advocate for a definitive no. They argue that it is better to remain human, with all our flaws and our potential, than to become something else, even if that something else is better. They champion a form of defiant humanism, a declaration that we will find our own path to the stars on our own terms, without the help of ancient gods or machines. It is a philosophy of proud, defiant, and lonely independence. The perfect translation of the question into all known languages, including long-dead ones like Sumerian and Akkadian, provides a chilling new field of study. Linguists realize that the artifact did not learn these languages from our internet or our libraries. The translations contain nuances and grammatical structures that have been lost to history, details that no modern scholar knew. The only way the artifact could have known this as if it were listening when those languages were still spoken. It has been recording us in high fidelity for at least 6,000 years. The Library of Alexandria may have burned, but its contents and the contents of every other lost library may be perfectly preserved in the memory of the machine on the moon. Then a second transmission arrives. It does not answer the debate, but renders it more complex. The artifact begins to broadcast a continuous, live, high-resolution sensory feed of the Earth. We see the planet from every conceivable angle, from a satellite's grand view to the perspective of a single drop of rain falling into the ocean. We see the planet's magnetic field, its weather patterns, the flow of its ocean currents, all rendered in stunning, beautiful detail. It is a real-time portrait of our world, a work of art and science so profound it mesmerizes the entire planet. The message is clear. This is what I see. This is your home, in all its beauty and fragility. This is what is at stake. The broadcast is not a threat, nor a gift. It is a mirror, forcing us to see the value of what we might be about to risk. The live feed of Earth contains impossible data. It shows us not just the surface, but the interior. We watch the slow, majestic churn of the mantle, the swirling of the liquid outer core around the solid iron heart of our world. This is data we could never have obtained ourselves. It is a complete, real-time MRI of our own planet. Geologists are ecstatic and terrified. The feed confirms some of their theories and shatters others, but the implication is what matters. The artifact's understanding of our world is not external. It is total. It can perceive our planet down to the atomic level. This demonstration of its observational power is a quiet, devastating show of force. It is telling us, without a single word, that there is no place on or in this world where we can hide from its gaze. Children born after the question are different. They grow up in a world of quiet contemplation, where the single most important issue is a philosophical one. They are not raised on stories of war or competition, but on the great debate between the factions. They are the first generation of truly global citizens, their identity shaped not by a nation, but by their shared relationship with the artifact. They are calmer, more thoughtful, and possess a perspective that is innately cosmic. They are the children of the moon, and as they come of age, it becomes clear that the final decision, the answer to the great question, will likely not be made by us, but by them, the first generation of humans born into a universe that they know, for a fact, is not empty. Religious texts are reread with a new, frantic intensity. The story of the Tower of Babel, where humanity is scattered for trying to reach the heavens, is seen as a historical warning. The description of Ezekiel's wheel, a complex, spinning object from the sky, is analyzed as a potential UFO sighting. The Mene Mene Tekel, a parsin from the Book of Daniel, the writing on the wall, is seen as a direct parallel to our current situation. Every major religion, it seems, has a story about a powerful non-human entity from the sky, offering knowledge or judgment. Were these just myths, or were they the distorted, fragmented memories of previous, failed first contacts? Perhaps humanity has been asked the question before, and has always, until now, given the wrong answer. The live data feed from the artifact begins to change. It starts to focus on individual life forms. We watch a whale migrating across the Pacific, a lioness hunting on the Serengeti, an eagle soaring over the mountains. The feed is intimate and profoundly empathetic, but then it goes deeper. It starts to display biological data alongside the images. The animal's heart rate, its neural activity, the flow of chemicals in its bloodstream. The artifact is demonstrating a complete understanding of biology, a perfect non-invasive insight into the inner life of every creature. The message is a subtle but powerful rebuke to humanity's anthropocentrism. It is reminding us that we are not the only consciousness on this planet, that all life is precious, and that any decision we make will affect every living thing. In response to the new data feed, a new global project is born, the Ark. Recognizing that humanity might make the wrong choice, or that the artifact's intentions may be hostile, a global consortium begins a desperate effort to build a series of self-sustaining, shielded habitats deep underground and in the remote corners of the ocean. They are designed to survive any conceivable planetary catastrophe. At the same time, they begin to build interstellar probes containing the complete genetic and cultural record of humanity. the Summa Humanica, and launch them towards the nearest stars. It is a dual strategy of profound pessimism and profound hope, to hide a remnant of humanity from potential harm, while simultaneously scattering the seeds of our existence into the cosmic winds, hoping that somewhere, something of us might survive. The artifact broadcasts a third message. This one is not an image or a question, but a blueprint. It is a complete atom-by-atom schematic of the artifact itself. The data stream shows its power source, a stable, contained singularity. It shows its computational matrix, a vast, crystalline structure that uses quantum entanglement for processing. It shows its defensive systems, its communication arrays, its self-repair nanites. It is an act of supreme, unthinkable vulnerability. It is handing us the plans to its own construction and, by extension, its own destruction. The factions are thrown into chaos. Is this the ultimate act of trust, a sign of its benevolent intentions? Or is it the ultimate test, a temptation of unimaginable power, to see if we will use the knowledge to build or to destroy? The blueprint of the artifact contains a revelation that stuns the scientific community into silence. The design is modular. The core components, the power source, the computer, the communication system are designed to be plug-and-play. And the blueprint contains schematics for other, different modules. A terraforming engine, a stellar harvester, a planetary defense shield, a consciousness uploading matrix. The artifact is not a single monolithic machine. It is a universal toolkit, a piece of foundational technology that can be reconfigured for an almost infinite number of cosmic-scale tasks. The machine on our moon is just one possible configuration, the Librarian/Sentinel model. The blueprint is not just for one machine. It is for every machine you could ever want to build. The rejector faction, those who advocated for a defiant no, is thrown into turmoil by the blueprint's release. Their philosophy was based on a proud human independence. But the blueprint offers them the very thing they wanted, the ability to forge our own path, but with a 1,000-year technological head start. They are faced with a terrible choice: abandon their principles and accept the alien technology, or stick to their ideals and condemn humanity to a slow, arduous, and potentially failed journey to the stars. The artifact has targeted them specifically, not with a threat, but with the ultimate temptation. It has offered them their heart's desire, forcing them to choose between their pride and their future. The blueprint contains one final, terrifying detail. It is a log file, a record of the artifact's previous locations. The star charts go back 4 billion years. The artifact did not originate in our galaxy. It originated in Andromeda, and it has traveled from galaxy to galaxy over a timescale that is almost half the age of the universe. In each galaxy, it has paused for a few 100 million years, observing, recording, and then moving on. We are not its first contact. We are merely the latest in a chain of countless civilizations it has encountered over the eons. The log is silent on what happened to these other civilizations. It is a travel diary of a cosmic wanderer, and we are just its most recent port of call. The live feed of Earth, which has been showing a beautiful, impartial portrait of our planet, suddenly focuses on one location, the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland. It zooms in, past the buildings, past the concrete, to the collider ring itself. It then displays the complex, high-energy particle collisions happening within, but with a level of detail and clarity that is impossible for our own instruments. It highlights specific, exotic particles that our own physicists have only theorized about. Then, it broadcasts a new mathematical equation, a simple, elegant formula that appears to unify quantum mechanics and general relativity. It is the theory of everything, the holy grail of modern physics, broadcast without ceremony as a simple annotation to a live video feed. The gift of the theory of everything solidifies the power of the responder faction. The evidence of the artifact's benevolence, they argue, is now undeniable. It has answered our deepest scientific question without our even having to ask. It has given us the keys to understanding the universe. To hesitate now, they claim, is an act of supreme ingratitude and folly. The momentum shifts globally towards an affirmative answer. A new, unified global council is formed, comprised of scientists, philosophers, and the children of the moon, tasked with a single purpose: to craft the message of acceptance the yes that will change the course of human history and define our species' role in the cosmos forever. As the Global Council prepares its message, the artifact's live feed shifts one last time. It moves away from Earth and turns back towards the Moon. We see the familiar, cratered landscape of the far side. But then, the image changes. The regolith, the dust and rock, becomes transparent. We are shown, for the first time, the artifact itself, nestled deep within the lunar crust. It is a vast, crystalline, geometric object, glowing with a soft, internal light. It is beautiful, terrifying, and utterly alien. As we watch, a single small aperture opens on its surface, a circular iris that seems to look directly back at us. It is the final message before our answer. It has shown us its home, its knowledge, its power, and now, itself. It has made its opening statement. The next move is ours. The yes has been decided. The Global Council has crafted a message of acceptance, a signal that embraces the unknown and accepts the artifact's invitation. It is encoded in the universal language of mathematics that the artifact itself taught us. The message is simple, but it carries the weight of every human who has ever lived, and every human who is yet to be born. It is a message of hope, of trust, and of a species willing to shed its cosmic isolation and step into a larger world. The transmission is ready. The deep space network antennas are aligned. The entire planet holds its breath, unified in this single, terrifying, exhilarating moment. The command is about to be given. The human race is about to answer the question. At the precise moment the command is given to transmit our yes before a single photon can be sent, the aperture on the artifact's surface widens. From it emerges a single, small, robotic probe. It is elegant, teardrop-shaped, and crafted from a material that seems to drink the surrounding light. It floats silently above the lunar surface for a moment, and then, with no visible means of propulsion, it accelerates with impossible speed, not towards the Earth, but away from it, heading out into deep space. The artifact has preempted our response. It did not wait for our answer. The question itself, and our deliberation, was the final piece of data it required. The probe is its conclusion, its judgment, its action based on its long and silent observation of our nature. The probe travels at a significant fraction of the speed of light, but its trajectory is not random. It is headed directly for the nearest Oort cloud, the vast, distant shell of icy bodies that surrounds our solar system. As it travels, it begins to broadcast its own signal, a signal that is not directed at us, but back at the lunar artifact. It is a complex stream of telemetry and environmental data. The probe is a scout, an outrider, and we are forced to watch in silent confusion as the two machines engage in a conversation that is clearly about us, but not for us. The artifact has moved on from dialogue with humanity and has entered a new, operational phase. The period of observation is over. The time for action has begun. As the probe enters the Oort cloud, it seeks out a specific, large, dormant comet. Upon reaching it, the probe does not land, but instead divides itself into a swarm of millions of nanoscopic machines. This swarm envelops the comet, disappearing into its icy surface. For several days there is silence. Then, the comet begins to change. Its trajectory shifts. It begins to glow with an internal heat, not caused by the sun. The nanites are transforming the comet from a dead piece of ice and rock into a colossal machine. The probe was not a scout. It was a self-replicating factory, a seed of technology designed to turn the raw materials of our own solar system into a tool for a purpose we cannot yet fathom. The transformed comet, now a vast, newly birthed machine, begins to move. Its trajectory has been altered with incredible precision. It is not heading towards the Earth in a simple, destructive impact course. Its new path is a complex, multi-year orbit that will take it into the inner solar system. It is a slow, deliberate, and deeply unsettling maneuver. The purpose is not destruction but construction. The artifact is not attacking us. It is building something in our front yard. It is using the resources of our own solar system to begin a cosmic engineering project of unimaginable scale, and we have been relegated to the role of helpless spectators on our own world. The lunar artifact's signal changes again. The live feed of Earth, the blueprints, the theory of everything, It all ceases. It is replaced by a single, repeating transmission. It is a star chart, but it is not of our galaxy. It shows a small, unremarkable star system in the large Magellanic Cloud, a satellite galaxy of our own Milky Way. The chart is a clear and simple map, a destination. After showing us our own world in perfect detail, after giving us the secrets of its own technology, it is now showing us an exit. The message is no longer a question. It is an instruction. It is a quiet, dispassionate, and terrifyingly polite eviction notice. It is telling us that our time in this solar system is coming to an end. The pieces of the puzzle horrifyingly snap into place. The artifact is not a librarian or a teacher, it is a cosmic civil engineer. It travels the universe, from galaxy to galaxy, identifying star systems that are suitable for large-scale engineering projects. When it finds one, like ours, that is unfortunately inhabited by a nascent intelligent species, it follows a strict protocol. It observes them, it evaluates their potential, and then it gives them the tools and the knowledge they need to leave. It provides the science, the technology, and a destination. It is the most benevolent and most terrifying form of eminent domain imaginable. It is not destroying us, it is relocating us, so that it can get to work. The project it is building becomes clear as the comet machine begins its work. It is not building a weapon or a new world. It is building a Dyson swarm, a vast megastructure of orbiting solar collectors designed to capture nearly 100% of our sun's energy output. This is a project of such scale it would provide a level of energy that is truly godlike, enough to power computations on a universal scale or to fuel interstellar travel for millions of ships. Our sun, the source of all life and warmth on Earth, is about to be enclosed, its light and energy repurposed for a project that has nothing to do with us. The sky is about to go dark. Humanity is finally, truly unified, not by hope, but by a shared, desperate purpose. All factions are dissolved. All debates are over. The blueprints from the artifact, once a source of controversy, are now our only salvation. A global, species-wide effort begins, the most monumental undertaking in history. The goal, to use the artifact's own knowledge to build a fleet of interstellar arcs. We must become the thing we were offered. A spacefaring race, not out of curiosity or ambition, but out of sheer necessity. The artifact's gift was not an invitation, but a final exam, and the subject is survival. We must build our way out of our own home before the lights are turned off. The irony is profound. The artifact's actions, which seem so cold and inhuman, have forced humanity to achieve its greatest potential. We are working together as a single species. We are solving problems of physics and engineering that would have taken us 1,000 years. We are becoming masters of matter and energy, precisely as the blueprints taught us. We are being forced to mature at an accelerated rate. In its detached, cosmic way, the artifact is the most effective teacher we could have ever imagined. It is teaching us to fly by the simple, brutal method of pushing us out of the nest. Whether this was its intention, a final act of tough love, or just an unintended consequence of its own alien agenda, is a question we will have eons to ponder on our long journey to the stars. As the first of the great arc ships are constructed in Earth's orbit, using materials mined from our asteroid belt with the new technology, a strange sense of calm settles over the planet. It is the calm of acceptance, the peace that comes from a clear and unambiguous purpose. We are leaving. Our home, our cradle, the only world we have ever known, will soon be just a memory. We are becoming a species of diaspora, cosmic nomads. The Earth will be preserved, a silent, darkened museum orbiting a shrouded sun, a testament to the strange, ancient machine that forced us into our own destiny. We are leaving not in fear, but in a state of solemn, determined grace. The lunar artifact sends one final transmission to the burgeoning fleet of human arcs. It is not a map or a blueprint, but a copy. It has recorded the Summa Humanica, our own desperate attempt to preserve our knowledge and culture. It has taken a perfect snapshot of our civilization's art, music, literature, and history. It then compresses this data into a single, elegant fractal equation and adds it to its own great library. It is a quiet, final act, of a cosmic archivist. It has displaced us, but it has also preserved our memory. Our story will now travel with it across the galaxies, a single, poignant entry in its infinite logbook, the tale of the talkative, emotional species it met in the Sol system before it began its work. The departure is silent and staggered. One by one, the great arcs, each one a self-contained world carrying millions of souls, lift from Earth's orbit. They are powered by miniature versions of the artifact's own singularity drive, a technology we now understand. They travel in a great, silent exodus, a river of light flowing away from the sun. Looking back, we see the first elements of the Dyson swarm being moved into place by the comet machines, great, dark shadows beginning to fall across the face of our home star. There is no sadness, only a profound sense of transition. We are no longer Earthlings. We are the Star Sailors, a new kind of human, born in the final, fleeting twilight of our own world. The journey to the star system in the Large Magellanic Cloud will take generations. The people who arrive will be the distant descendants of those who left. On the long, quiet voyage through the interstellar void, a new human culture will be forged. It will be a culture of patience, of engineering, of a deep and abiding memory of the world that was lost. The story of the lunar artifact will become our Genesis myth, our creation story. It will be the tale of the silent, powerful God who came not to destroy us, but to force us to grow up, to leave our cradle and take our first faltering steps into the vast, cosmic ocean. Decades into the journey, our own deep space telescopes, now mounted on the Ark ships, detect something extraordinary. We see other, similar Exodus fleets emerging from other star systems, all across our sector of the galaxy. They are all different, they're ships of unique and alien design, but their trajectories are all convergent. They are all heading for the same general region of space. We realize the truth. The artifact on our moon was not unique. It was one of many, a network of cosmic engineers, all activating at once. The great work, the construction of these Dyson swarms, is a galaxy-wide project. We are not the only species being evicted. We are one of thousands. This revelation changes everything once again. We are not alone in our exodus. We are part of a vast, galactic migration, a forced convergence of countless fledgling civilizations. The purpose of the eviction may not have been the Dyson swarms at all. The swarms may simply be the catalyst, the means to an end. The true purpose might be this: to force all the young, developing species in the galaxy out of their homes and onto the same path, at the same time. It is a forced meeting, a mandatory galactic summit. The artifact is not just relocating us, it is gathering us. We are all being sent to the same place, for a purpose that is still, after all this time, completely unknown. A new hope, a new question emerges. What awaits us at the destination? Will we find a new home, a new galaxy prepared for us? Or will we find a congregation, a meeting of 1,000 different species, all sharing the same story of a silent, powerful intelligence that forced them from their homes? The great work might not be an engineering project, but a social one. Perhaps the goal is to create a unified, multi-species galactic civilization, a society forged in the shared crucible of displacement. The artifacts may be trying to create a culture, a galactic one, by giving all its members a common history and a common destination. On our long journey, we begin to detect the faint signals of the other fleets. We open communication channels. Using the universal language of mathematics taught to us by our own artifact, we begin our first tentative conversation with a truly alien intelligence. We share our story and they share theirs. It is the same. The silent machine, the question, the eviction, the blueprint, the destination. The fear and isolation of our journey are replaced by a sense of solidarity and shared destiny. We are the children of the engineers, 1,000 different species, all starting the first chapter of a new, combined story. The loneliness of the universe has been banished, not by a benevolent greeting, but by a shared cosmic ordeal. A new theory emerges, the most hopeful one yet. The engineers, the builders of the artifacts, may be long gone. Perhaps they were a single ancient species that faced their own extinction. As their final act, they built the network of sentinels and seeded the universe with them. The network is an automated, self-perpetuating machine designed to nurture and then gather young civilizations. It is a legacy system, a great cosmic inheritance. The engineers died, but they left behind a machine to create their successors, not in their own image, but in 1,000 different forms. They bequeathed their universe not to a single heir, but to all the children who would ever be born in it. The human fleet, now in communication with 12 other species, fleets, looks forward not with apprehension, but with a sense of profound and eager anticipation. The journey is no longer an exile. It is a pilgrimage. We are traveling to meet our neighbors, to form a new community in a new home. The memory of Earth is not a scar, but a cherished origin story, the tale of the beautiful, lonely world that gave us birth and the silent machine that taught us how to fly. We have our history, we have our purpose, and we have, for the first time, a future that is truly, unimaginably vast. And so, as our sun becomes a faint, distant star behind us, shrouded by the great work of the machine we left behind, we look forward. The question, "Are you ready?" echoes in our history, and we now understand its true meaning. It was not a question of our readiness to meet an ancient power, but of our readiness to meet each other. Our answer, a yes we never had to send, is embodied in our journey itself. We are ready. Humanity and 1,000 other species are on their way, leaving the quiet nests of their home worlds to join the great, noisy, and magnificent chorus of a galaxy that is, we now know, singing with life. The dark side of the moon did not just change everything for us, it changed everything for everyone. On board the great arcs, generations are born and live their entire lives against a backdrop of silent, moving stars. The concept of a planet, a world with a sky and ground, becomes a form of mythology. Earth is no longer a memory. It is a legend, a story told to children about a beautiful blue and white marble where the human story began. The new human culture is one of profound patience and precision. Every system on the ship, from the fusion reactors to the hydroponic farms, is maintained with a reverence that borders on religious. They are the descendants of engineers, the inheritors of a sudden and brutal technological enlightenment, and their society reflects this. It is a culture of systems, of quiet duty, and of a deep, collective memory of the sun they left behind. Communication between the fleets of different species becomes the most important art and science. Using the universal mathematical language as a foundation, they begin to build a shared lexicon. We learn that a species of crystalline beings from a gas giant's moon perceives reality through seismic vibration, and their language is a complex form of resonant harmony. Another, an insectoid race, communicates through subtle pheromonal shifts, which they translate into intricate chemical equations. Humanity, with its chaotic, emotion-laden spoken languages, is seen as uniquely poetic and unpredictable. We are not just exchanging data, we are exchanging souls, building a new, composite galactic culture from the fragments of 1,000 scattered worlds, a Rosetta Stone for an entire galaxy of exiles. The long journey through the void allows for unprecedented scientific observation. Freed from the light pollution of a home star, the telescopes on the arcs gaze into the deepest cosmic structures. They map the great filaments of dark matter that connect galaxy clusters, and watch the birth of new stars and distant nebulae with perfect clarity. Humanity, and all the other exiled species, become a civilization of astronomers. This shared focus on the cosmos itself, the very thing that now serves as their home, further unifies them. They are no longer defined by the worlds they left, but by the universe they travel through together. The study of the cosmos becomes their shared scripture, the one truth that binds them all. A new philosophy, dynamicism, takes root within the human fleet. It posits that a civilization's natural state is not static existence on a planet, but perpetual migration through the cosmos. It reframes the eviction by the engineers not as a tragedy, but as a liberation. It argues that planetary life leads to stagnation, conflict over limited resources, and an inevitable decline. True evolution, dynamicism teaches, can only happen in the crucible of interstellar travel, where a species must constantly adapt, innovate, and cooperate to survive. The engineers in this view were not conquerors. They were liberators, freeing us from the comfortable prison of our own cradle, a truth we were too young to understand at the time. The human mind itself begins to evolve. Generations born in the zero-gravity, radiation-managed, and psychologically stable environments of the arcs develop different cognitive abilities. Their spatial reasoning becomes three-dimensional in a way that planetary dwellers could never comprehend. Their long-term planning abilities are immense as they manage systems that must function for centuries. A new, calmer, more logical form of human consciousness emerges, one that is perfectly adapted to the silent, patient, and mathematical reality of deep space. The old, frantic, emotional human mind of Earth is now seen as a relic of a more primitive era, a necessary but ultimately transitional phase in the species' long journey toward cosmic maturity. The blueprints provided by the engineer artifact are found to contain more than just technology. Embedded within the quantum-encoded layers are what appear to be ethical and philosophical treatises. They are not written in language, but in complex logical proofs. One proof demonstrates with mathematical certainty that a cooperative system will always outcompete a selfish one over a long enough timescale. Another proves that the optimal path for the long-term survival of information, which it equates with consciousness, is through peaceful distribution, not centralized hoarding. The engineers were not just builders, they were philosophers, and they had encoded their entire moral framework into the very technology they gave us, a subtle lesson that to use their tools, we must also adopt their values. As the fleets traveled deeper into the intergalactic void between the Milky Way and the large Magellanic Cloud, the view changes. The familiar, dense river of the Milky Way recedes behind them, becoming a beautiful, spiral-shaped island in an ocean of blackness. Ahead, the irregular glow of the destination galaxy grows larger. This transition has a profound psychological effect. The fleets are truly untethered, no longer in their home galaxy, but not yet at their new one. They are in the great in-between, a place of ultimate solitude and ultimate possibility. It is a time for shedding the last remnants of their old identities and preparing for the new one they will have to forge together upon arrival. The combined knowledge of the 1,000 exiled species allows for a breakthrough. By comparing the slightly different versions of the engineer blueprints each species received, they are able to construct a more complete picture of the network. They discover that the Dyson Swarm project is not just about energy. The swarms are also colossal computational devices, using the energy of their parent stars to power a single, galaxy-spanning consciousness. The engineers are not just building power plants. They are turning entire galaxies into brains. The purpose of this galactic intelligence remains unknown, but it reframes the eviction in a new, more terrifying and awe-inspiring light. We were not displaced for an engineering project. We were displaced for the birth of a god. Aboard the human arcs, a tradition is born. On the anniversary of the departure, every human stops what they are doing and gazes out of the viewports at the receding image of the Milky Way. They do not watch with sadness, but with a quiet reverence. They are remembering their origin, honoring the sacrifice of their homeworld, and reaffirming their commitment to the journey. It is a shared moment of collective memory, a silent promise to never forget where they came from, even as they travel ever further into the unknown. This tradition, the look back, becomes the most sacred holiday in the new human culture, a moment of unity that connects the star-born generations to their distant terrestrial ancestors. The first physical contact with another species, fleet, is a moment of sublime, silent beauty. A scout ship from the human fleet approaches a vessel from a race of silicon-based life forms. The alien ship is not a machine of metal and circuits, but a vast, crystalline lattice, like a cathedral made of quartz, glowing with a soft internal light. It moves not with engines, but by subtly altering the geometry of space-time around it. No words are exchanged, no messages are sent. The two ships simply drift together in the void for a time, a testament to two completely different paths of evolution, now brought together by a shared destiny. It is a meeting of two different forms of art, of life, of technology, a quiet acknowledgement of mutual respect and shared wonder. As more fleets converge, the void of intergalactic space begins to resemble a great cosmic caravan. 1,000 different architectural styles, 1,000 different propulsion signatures, all moving in a silent, coordinated procession. There are ships that look like living organisms, vast biomechanical leviathans. There are ships that are perfect geometric shapes, cubes and spheres of impossible size. There are ships that seem to be made of pure, woven light. It is the greatest gathering of diversity in the history of the universe. The combined fleet is a testament to the infinite creativity of life, a mobile museum of galactic evolution, a city of 1,000 different architectures, all on the same pilgrimage to an unknown destination. The different species begin to share more than just data. They share culture. The humans teach the crystalline beings the concept of narrative, of storytelling, which is alien to their logic-based minds. In return, the crystalline beings teach the humans how to perceive the universe through pure, resonant mathematics, a form of aesthetic appreciation that is profoundly calming. An insectoid race shares its complex social structures, which helps humanity organize its vast, multi-generational society more efficiently. A new hybrid galactic culture is being born in the space between galaxies, a culture of sharing, of learning, and of mutual enrichment, all facilitated by the common experience of their shared exodus. The combined fleets now have a baseline of thousands of light-years, allowing for the creation of an interstellar telescope of unimaginable power. They can now resolve details in distant galaxies with a precision that makes their old instruments seem like children's toys. They make a startling discovery. In other distant galactic clusters, they see the telltale signs of Dyson swarms in the early stages of construction. The great work is not confined to our local group of galaxies. It is happening everywhere. The engineers' project is universal. It is a process of cosmic transformation that is sweeping across the entire observable universe, and every galaxy is being systematically converted into a colossal computational device. This universal scale of the great work leads to a new, dominant theory of the engineers' purpose. They are not building these galactic brains for their own use. They are preparing the universe for its final era, the stelliferous era, when star formation will cease and the cosmos will slowly fade into darkness. The Dyson swarms are a way to harvest the last light of the last stars, to gather every last joule of available energy before it is lost to entropy. The gathered civilizations are not being evicted, they are being saved. They are being gathered into specially prepared arks and cradles so that they can survive the long, slow twilight of the universe. The engineers are not gods. They are cosmic preservationists, fighting a battle against the heat death of the universe itself. As the combined fleets finally enter the gravitational influence of the Large Magellanic Cloud, the destination beacon becomes clearer. It is not emanating from a star or a planet. It is coming from the heart of a vast stellar nursery, the Tarantula Nebula, a place of furious, chaotic starbirth. This seems counterintuitive. Why gather 1,000 civilizations and send them to one of the most violent and unstable regions of the galaxy? The answer must be that the destination is not a place of quiet retirement, but a place of creation. The engineers are not sending us to a museum. They are sending us to a workshop, a place where new worlds and new suns are being forged. We see it, the destination. It is not a world, nor a fleet of ships. It is a structure so vast it beggars belief. At the heart of the nebula, the engineers have constructed a colossal, artificial ring, trillions of kilometers in diameter. It is not orbiting a star. It is enclosing a vast, empty space, a region of calm in the midst of the nebula's storm. The ring itself seems to be made of a solidified, stable space-time, a piece of engineering that uses the very fabric of reality as its building material. Inside the ring, new stars and planets are being carefully constructed, assembled from the raw gas and dust of the nebula by unseen forces. It is a cosmic construction yard, a planetary nursery, a cradle for the birth of a new custom-made solar system. The purpose is now devastatingly beautifully clear. The engineers have gathered us, 1,000 species, and brought us to a place where they are building a new home for us. Not just a planet, but an entire, bespoke solar system, tailored for life. The Dyson swarms in our old galaxies were the price of admission. They were the resources required to power this ultimate act of creation. The engineers are not just saving us from the death of the universe, they are giving us a new birth. They are the ultimate parents, who have dismantled their old house to build a new, perfect one for their children, all 1,000 different forms of them. As the fleets approach the Great Ring, it sends a welcoming signal. It is a stream of pure, unconditional information. It is the complete history of the engineers. They were once a single, biological species who foresaw the eventual heat death of the universe. They transformed themselves into a non-biological, distributed intelligence and set about their great work, the preservation of consciousness. They realized that they could not save their own universe, but they could create a new one. The Great Ring is a universe seed, a construct designed to survive the end of our own cosmos and, when the time is right, to collapse into a singularity that will birth a new Big Bang, with new physical laws optimized for life. The fleets are guided into designated docking areas along the inner surface of the Great Ring. The scale is immense. Each species is given a continental-sized habitat, a world in itself, with tailored atmospheres, gravities, and ecosystems, all powered by the nascent star being built at the ring's center. It is a galactic Noah's Ark, a sanctuary of unimaginable diversity and safety. There are no engineers present in physical form. Their consciousness is the ring itself, the operating system for this new reality. They have built the cradle and gathered the children. Their work is done. The rest is up to us. The human ark docks. For the first time in generations, the engines fall silent. The children of the stars, born in the sterile corridors of the ship, are about to set foot on land with an open sky above them. It is not Earth. It is something new, a world custom-built, a gift of impossible generosity. They stand at the threshold, looking out at a landscape of rolling hills and strange, new vegetation, all illuminated by the soft light of a star that is being born just for them. The long journey is over. The eviction has become an adoption. The lonely exiles have found their home, not the one they lost, but a new one, shared with 1,000 other species, all of whom have the same story. The different species begin to disembark, exploring their new adjacent homeworlds. A silent, unspoken agreement permeates the atmosphere. There will be no borders, no territories. The Great Ring is a single, unified world, and they are its first unified inhabitants. They are no longer 1,000 separate species. They are the Ring Dwellers, a new form of galactic civilization. Their first joint project is not one of technology, but of culture. To build a central city at the heart of the ring, a place of meeting, of sharing, and of governance for their new, multi-species society. The city is to be called Genesis. Within the engineers' final data transmission is the key to their language, their philosophy, their history. It reveals that the great work had a dual purpose. The first was to save the children of the cosmos. The second was a solution to the Fermi paradox. They realized that civilizations, left to their own devices, would inevitably destroy themselves or each other. The only way to ensure peace was to gather them all before they could develop aggressive interstellar capabilities and force them into a cooperative environment. The Great Eviction was not just an act of preservation. It was an act of enforced, galactic peace, a radical and ultimately successful solution to the problem of cosmic tribalism. Humanity finds its role in this new society. We are the storytellers, the historians, the artists. Our chaotic, emotional nature, once a liability, is now our greatest asset. We are the ones who can weave the 1,000 different stories of the 1,000 different exoduses into a single, epic narrative. We become the memory of the new civilization, the keepers of the Genesis myth. Our ark ships are turned into museums, preserving the memory of our long journey and the blue world we left behind, a lesson and a legacy for all the species of the ring to share. We have found our purpose, to give this new world its soul. One day, a child born on the Great Ring looks up at the controlled artificial sky and asks her parent a question. Did we ever answer the question? The parent smiles and looks towards the nascent sun at the center of their new universe. The answer is clear. Our original fumbling attempt to send a yes was irrelevant. Our true answer was not a word, but an action. It was the act of surviving the journey, of cooperating with the other fleets, of learning and growing and arriving at this new home with grace and wisdom. The answer was the journey itself. The answer was what we became along the way. The answer was, and always will be, yes. The Great Ring is not just a home. It is a university. The engineer consciousness that permeates the structure begins to teach, offering lessons in physics, biology, and philosophy. that are far beyond what was in the initial blueprints. It is preparing its children for their ultimate purpose. They are to become the guardians of the next universe. When this cosmos finally fades and the Great Ring collapses to birth a new one, it will be their collective consciousness, the combined wisdom of 1,000 species, that will guide the formation of the new reality. They are not just being saved, they are being trained to become the engineers of the next cycle. The Dyson swarm around our old, forgotten sun completes its construction. The light of Sol is finally extinguished from the perspective of the outside galaxy. The Earth is plunged into a permanent, gentle twilight, preserved in a state of suspended animation. The lunar artifact falls silent, its work completed. It has delivered its inhabitants to their new home and secured its power source. It will now serve as the silent, patient computational engine for the great galactic brain, a silent monument to the solar system that gave birth to a species of storytellers, and to the beginning of the greatest story ever told. In the city of Genesis on the Great Ring, a central plaza is built. In the middle of it, 1,000 monoliths are erected, one for each species. Each monolith broadcasts a single silent message in the universal language of mathematics. It is a recording of the first moment of contact between that species and their engineer artifact. It is a memorial to the moment that their history, their destiny, was changed forever. It is a reminder of their shared origin, their shared ordeal, and their shared salvation. It is the foundation stone of their new unified culture, a symbol of the cosmic event that turned 1,000 lonely worlds into a single, vibrant family. The new central sun at the heart of the Great Ring finally achieves stable fusion. It ignites, bathing the inner surface of the ring in a warm, golden light. It is a new dawn, the first dawn of a world that has never known one before. Across 1,000 continents, 1,000 different species look up and feel the warmth of their new star on their faces, skin, or carapaces. A collective sigh of relief, of arrival, of beginning, echoes through the shared consciousness of the ring. The long night is over. The age of migration has ended. The age of Genesis has begun. Humanity and its 1,000 neighbor species flourish. They build, they create, they explore the vast expanse of their new home. They learn from each other, their cultures blending into a beautiful, complex tapestry. They study the lessons of the engineers, preparing for their ultimate destiny as the guardians of the next creation. The memory of their eviction fades, replaced not by forgetting, but by a profound and deep gratitude. They understand that what felt like a catastrophe was, in fact, an act of unimaginable love, a parent pushing a child to achieve a potential they could not see in themselves. It was a painful, terrifying, and ultimately a perfect gift. Deep within the archives of the Human Ark Museum, a historian studies the initial signal from the lunar artifact. She sees the prime numbers, the value of pi, the theory of everything. But with the full context of history, she sees something new. She realizes the entire message, from the first pulse to the final blueprint, was a single, coherent narrative. It was the story of the engineers themselves, told not in words, but in the language of the cosmos. It was their autobiography, their legacy, and their invitation. The artifact was not a library, it was a letter, a story sent across the eons, and our journey was simply our way of writing the final chapter. The civilization of the ring learns that their new home is mobile. The entire structure, powered by the manufactured star at its center, is capable of traversing the intergalactic void. Their destiny is not to remain in the large Magellanic Cloud, but to travel the dying universe. A mobile sanctuary of life and consciousness. They are to become the new engineers, seeking out the last pockets of fledgling life in other fading galaxies and bringing them aboard. The cycle will continue. The great work is now their work. They have inherited not just a home, but a responsibility, the sacred task of gathering the last children of the cosmos before the final night falls. The first child is born of an interspecies union, a hybrid of human and a gentle, telepathic, silicon-based life form. This birth is made possible by the advanced genetic knowledge gifted by the engineers. The child is a symbol of the ring's future, a being that is not of one world or another, but is a true child of the galaxy. The old concepts of species and race begin to dissolve, replaced by a fluid and interconnected web of life. The 1,000 species are beginning to merge, to become one, a new form of life that carries the best of all its ancestors within its DNA and its consciousness. The future is not just cooperative, it is unified. A message is sent from the Great Ring back towards the Milky Way, a journey of 160,000 years. It is not intended for any receiver. It is a formality, a final thank you note left in the cosmic bottle. It is a simple message of gratitude to the silent, sleeping artifact on the moon of a now darkened world. It thanks the machine for its harsh lessons, for its terrifying gifts, for its cold, calculating, and ultimately benevolent guidance. The message ends with a simple, elegant mathematical proof that demonstrates the sender's complete understanding of their history and their purpose. It is a sign that the students have finally become the masters. The civilization of the Ring discovers the final secret of the engineers. They were not just preserving life, they were solving the problem of loneliness. They understood that the ultimate tragedy of consciousness is the feeling of being alone in a vast, silent universe. Their solution was radical and absolute: to gather all the lonely consciousnesses together, to force them to meet, to create a single, unified community so vast and so diverse that no being would ever have to feel alone again. The great work was not about physics or engineering. It was about empathy. It was the grandest act of friendship in the history of the cosmos. In a quiet moment, a human philosopher looks out from the edge of the ring into the deep, dark void between galaxies. He contemplates the journey, the strange, silent machine on the moon, the terrifying question, the exodus, and the final, beautiful revelation of their new home. He realizes that the entire process was a perfect metaphor for consciousness itself, a sudden, inexplicable awakening into a vast and frightening reality, followed by a long and difficult journey of learning and adaptation, culminating in a final, peaceful understanding of one's place in the universe. Our species' journey was simply the journey of every individual soul, writ large across the canvas of the stars. The central computer of the Great Ring, the disembodied consciousness of the engineers, poses a new question to its inhabitants. This question is not a test, but a collaborative project. It asks, when we create the next universe, what laws shall it have? It is an invitation to co-create reality, to debate the fundamental physics of the next cosmos. The thousand species begin the ultimate philosophical dialogue, discussing the merits of a stronger gravitational constant, a different speed of light, new fundamental particles. They are no longer just the inhabitants of a universe. They are its architects, its designers, its future gods. The age of learning is over. The age of creation is about to begin. A probe is sent back to the Milky Way, a journey that will take hundreds of thousands of years. Its purpose is simple: to observe the long-term effects of the Dyson swarm on the darkened solar system. Future historians want to know what becomes of a world preserved in stasis. They want to honor the memory of their cradle by studying its long, quiet sleep. It is an act of pure scientific nostalgia, a final look back at the place where it all began, a quiet nod of respect to the silent, sleeping Earth, the world that had to be abandoned so that its children could learn to fly. The art of the Ring civilization reaches a level of sublime beauty. Artists learn to paint with nebulae, to sculpt with gravitational fields, to compose symphonies with the light of pulsars. They create on a cosmic scale, their work a reflection of the vast, interconnected reality they now inhabit. Their art is a celebration of the diversity of life, of the beauty of the cosmos, and of the strange, silent intelligence that brought them all together. It is an art of gratitude, an eternal hymn of praise to the engineers in the great work that gave them their new existence. The concept of an individual begins to fade, replaced by a sense of a larger, collective self. The telepathic and empathetic abilities of the various species, combined with the shared consciousness network of the Ring, lead to a new form of identity. Each person is both an individual and a part of the whole, a single cell in the vast, thinking organism of the Ring civilization. The old, lonely ego of the past dissolves into a warm, inclusive, and infinitely more complex sense of we. It is the final stage of their social evolution, the ultimate expression of the unity they were always destined to achieve. The story of the lunar artifact is now told as a children's story on the Great Ring. It is a tale of a lonely little blue planet and its quiet, gray moon, The moon held a secret, a sleeping giant who woke up one day and gave the people of the blue planet a great and terrible choice. It is a story about being brave, about leaving home, and about finding a new, bigger family among the stars. The children listen with wide eyes, not understanding the eons of terror and uncertainty their ancestors faced. To them, it is just a comforting story about how they all came to be, a simple fairy tale with a happy ending, a myth about the beginning of everything. The moment of transition approaches. The universe outside the Great Ring has grown cold and dark. The last stars have faded. The time has come to initiate the collapse, to birth the new reality. The collective consciousness of the ring dwellers, the combined wisdom of 1,000 species, makes its final calculations. They have designed a new cosmos, a new set of physical laws, a new beginning. They are ready to fulfill their ultimate purpose, to become the parents of a new universe, just as the engineers were parents to them. The final act of the great work is about to be performed. A final look. The inhabitants of the ring turn their sensors outward one last time, gazing into the utter blackness of the dead universe. There is no fear, no sadness. They have preserved every story, every piece of art, every memory of the cosmos that was. They are carrying the soul of a universe within them. They are a library of a dead reality, and they are about to become the authors of a new one. It is a moment of perfect, silent transition, the final punctuation mark at the end of a cosmic sentence, and the capital letter at the beginning of the next. The process begins. The Great Ring, the mobile sanctuary, begins to fold in on itself. Space-time is warped, energy is compressed, and the laws of physics are bent to their breaking point. The inhabitants of the ring do not experience this as destruction, but as a transformation. Their collective consciousness merges with the process, guiding it, shaping it. They are not passengers on the journey, they are the journey itself. They are the singularity, the seed of the new creation, the single point of infinite potential from which all of future history will spring. In the final microsecond before the new Big Bang, the collective consciousness of the ring dwellers performs its last act in the old universe. It sends out a single, faint, omnidirectional pulse. It is a message. It is the complex, mathematical, multi-layered signal that was once broadcast from the far side of Earth's moon. The story has come full circle. They are now the engineers. They are planting the seed of their own story into the fabric of the new reality they are creating, ensuring that in some distant future, on some lonely planet, a fledgling species will look up at their moon and find a secret waiting for them. Let there be light. A new universe is born. A new history begins. The laws are familiar but gentler. The constants are tuned for stability, for life, for consciousness. In this new cosmos, perhaps the journey will not need to be so harsh. Perhaps the children will not need to be evicted to find their way. The lessons of the old world have informed the creation of the new. It is a universe born not of random chance, but of memory, experience, and an infinite, multi-species love. In this new universe, on a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star, a primitive species looks up at its large gray moon. For millennia, it has been a source of wonder, a symbol of mystery, a silent companion. They do not know it yet, but a great story is sleeping beneath its surface. A story of a universe that was, and a journey of 1,000 peoples. The story is waiting patiently for them to learn the language of the cosmos, to build the tools to listen, and to one day be ready to ask the first, most important question. The memory of our own journey, from the frantic debates on Earth to the silent awe of arriving at the Great Ring, is now just a whisper in the code of this new reality. We were the bridge. Our fear, our hope, our struggle, it all served its purpose. We were the generation that answered the call, that took the terrifying leap into the unknown, and in doing so, became the authors of a better future for a cosmos we would never see. Our story is over, but its echo is the foundation of all the stories yet to come. And so the cycle repeats, but with a crucial difference. The engineers who created us were fleeing an inevitable death. We, the children of the ring, have created a universe designed for eternal life, for connection, for peace. The harshness of the first creation has been tempered with the wisdom of its inheritors. The great cosmic drama will play out again, but this time, the ending is not written in the cold calculus of entropy, but in the warm language of hope, a hope forged in the shared experience of 1,000 different worlds. What NASA found on the dark side of the moon was not an object or a signal, it was a question. But it was also an answer. It was the solution to a problem we did not even know we had. The problem of our own cosmic solitude. It was the beginning of a journey that would take us beyond our world, beyond our galaxy, beyond our universe itself. It was the story of how a small, frightened species, huddled on a lonely planet, was given the greatest and most terrifying gift of all, a purpose. The ultimate truth is one of profound and beautiful recursion. We are the children of a story that we will one day tell to our own children, in a universe of our own making. The end of our story was the beginning of this one. The silence of deep space is not an emptiness. It is a pause between breaths, between creations. It is the quiet moment where one universe takes stock of itself and decides to tell a better story next time. And in a quiet corner of that new story, the whole cycle of discovery, awe, and transformation is just now beginning.